the world suddenly turned upside down, plunging into unannounced chaos. A terrifying cataclysm descended like hell on earth, as countless deformed monsters rose simultaneously, blanketing the globe in a bloody massacre of humanity. Amidst the absolute despair, a name unexpectedly soared from the sea of blood and fire: Chen Chu. An unknown young man suddenly grasped supreme power, establishing a telepathic link with a mysterious, colossal behemoth. Through that fateful connection, he single-handedly fought against the monster hordes, saving humanity from the brink of extinction. The entire world had to bow at his feet, honoring a god in a dying era. But it all turned out to be just a dream. Chen Chu jolted awake, cold sweat soaking his back. A sharp pain on his wrist yanked him back to cruel reality, where a small salamander was biting down hard, drawing painful drops of fresh blood. He had a hobby of raising dozens of brightly colored, cold-blooded animals, a bizarre passion that completely captivated him. However, something bizarre happened. When Chen Chu reflexively raised his hand, the salamander also lifted its front leg at the exact same time, the movements perfectly synchronized like a reflection of the soul. Right when he began to care for it seriously, pouring his first bit of dedication into nourishing the little creature, a system panel suddenly popped up out of nowhere, accompanied by a dry electronic voice echoing in his brain. Chen Chu held his breath. The moment the salamander absorbed enough nutrients, his own body also began to drastically mutate from within. Vitality surged through his veins, his flesh swelled with power, and his reflexes became so sharp that even he was stunned. Every time he gained a deeper understanding of this creature, their telepathic bond became even stronger. And in the near future, that tiny creature could very well transform into the exact colossal behemoth from his terrifying nightmare. As for Chen Chu, if he walked this path to the end, he would become a true martial arts grandmaster, shattering mortal limits to step into the realm of the strongest. Below were densely packed buildings, while above, helicopters and flying machines were bombarding in an incredibly fierce battle. Have you ever fallen into a strange dream, where a giant monster blotted out the sky, and you could telepathically connect with it? The young man took step after step toward the prehistoric creature, feeling as if it were an extension of himself. Its glowing red eyes reflected his silhouette. "I am it, and we are inseparable." Chen Chu quietly raised his head, ignoring the sparks wildly dancing in the wind around him. The monster unleashed a devastating breath of fire to attack the swarm of flying lizards, and ever since then, innocent citizens trampled over each other in a panic, fleeing the horrifying apocalyptic scene. The young man sat leisurely up high, looking down as humanity took turns bowing before him, the whole world revering me as a god. Chen Chu shot up to his feet. Right behind him was the ferocious, majestic head of the giant monster. On a normal day, the TV news anchor was urgently reporting. Wenjian News reporting. On June 2, 2224, Enning City Wildlife Zoo was attacked by a python over 100 meters long. Experts have yet to identify the species. According to photos taken by citizens, a monster resembling a kun also appeared in the sky over Enning City's northern district, causing unprecedented chaos. The young man had completely lost consciousness, his arm covered in fresh blood. Recently, an internationally wanted criminal has infiltrated Enning City. His blurry vision shifted to the strange object on the table. "Wait, isn't this my own body?" The little marine iguana's eyes widened in surprise, stunned by this bizarre reality. He hurriedly turned to the large mirror, exclaiming in horror, "What the hell is going on?" Chen Chu's body moved stiffly. "Why did I turn into a marine iguana?" "My name is Chen Chu, a sophomore at Enning University. Having the restrictive dorm life, I moved out to rent my own place. I have a weird obsession with cold-blooded animals. Their vibrant colors always leave me morbidly fascinated. The pet shop just brought in a very special batch today. From the very first glance, I was completely captivated by this amphibious marine iguana. Marine iguanas are generally docile, but unexpectedly, the moment I let it out, disaster struck. Its razor-sharp little teeth clamped down on his flesh, causing his blood to splatter everywhere. The young man was in so much pain that he instinctively raised the phone in his hand. He coldly slammed the edge of the phone down on its head with a heavy blow. The marine iguana immediately let go. but its tail fiercely whipped Chen Chu's head in retaliation. Back in the present, he slowly opened his eyes, his consciousness gradually returning after the coma. Chen Chu's face and the little iguana stared at each other, quietly observing one another. A moment later, the little creature's arm raised high, waving as if saying hello. The young man excitedly mimicked the gesture, his mind blown. "What's this? I can control its body. It feels exactly like moving my own limbs." He couldn't help but smirk. Could this be my cheat ability? Am I the main character and my plot armor can finally no longer be hidden? The little creature suddenly rolled over, but then he hesitated. But what can this iguana clone even do? Livestream as a smart pet, or go to the sea to dig for abalone and catch sea cucumbers to sell for cash? Chen Chu picked up its tail like a toy and sighed. I guess I'm not cut out to be an MC. Other people's cheat abilities turn them into either the ultimate villain or a cosmic god-tier world tree. He whined dejectedly, his stomach also starting to rumble with hunger. And I just get this tiny little iguana. Outside, the night had begun to fall, the high-rises glittering with the lights of the bustling city. He looked out the window and muttered, I'm starving. Turns out I was out cold for a whole day. I wonder what these iguanas even eat. Chen Chu happily let it cling to his arm. Since it's a marine iguana, it should be able to eat meat, right? A package of beef was taken out. The knife in his hand spun a few times, incredibly skilled and sharp. The young man quickly prepared a plate of fragrant, mouth-watering meat. He sat and watched it eat with satisfaction. As expected, just like skinks, iguanas can easily digest meat. Suddenly, the system's voice echoed dryly. Your clone has gained 5 evolution points plus 0.5 constitution. He looked up in shock. What the hell is this? A basic status panel detailing name, level, constitution, spirit, talent, and skills appeared clearly before his eyes. Chen Chu was dumbfounded, his heart pounding. Could it be this is my real cheat ability? Relying on the skill description, he focused intensely on the palm of his hand. The young man stood motionless for a long time, deeply contemplating something far away. Memories of his grueling childhood training suddenly flooded back. Practicing forms without practicing internal energy is nothing but an illusion even in old age. The man strictly instructed. The root is in the feet, initiated by the legs, directed by the waist. Only when the power of the bones merges does it reach the fingers. Chen Chu pleaded shakily, Dad, I'm too tired. After stance training, can I skip the run? His dad immediately shot him down, his voice like iron. No, quitting halfway is for trash. Those words cut his pride like a knife, renewing his determination. I don't want to be trash. The exhausting training continued as he poured his soul into running every lap. Faster, I have to be faster. Those tiny feet accidentally tripped over a sharp rock. Carried by momentum, he face-planted onto the hard dirt, experiencing agonizing pain. Chen Chu gasped for air continuously, feeling like he could pass out right there on the spot. His dad walked over and coldly reminded him, Get up yourself. Out there when you fall, no one is going to reach out to help you. As time passed, he handed him a simple, rustic wooden box. Before leaving, he gave him strict instructions. This is all of our family's savings. You have to travel a very long way, and the road ahead you must walk alone. His calloused hand rested on his shoulder with full trust. Remember, martial arts are not useless. Only when you are strong enough will you be able to see the dark side of this world. He asked with tears in his eyes, Dad, how am I supposed to find you later? He leisurely stood up from his chair and said in a deep voice, Wait until you reach the Grandmaster realm. However, by then I might not be around anymore. He slowly walked forward, leaving Chen Chu to quietly watch his fatting back. The door began to close, gradually hiding the silhouette of his beloved father. In the end, there was only enveloping darkness and silent loneliness after the cold click of the door closing. The painting on the wall made him feel even more nostalgic. 10 years had slipped by in a flash. The marine iguana had just finished its meal. It rubbed its bulging belly and let out a satisfied burp. The young man watched intently, mentally evaluating. This little guy sure eats fast. His gaze suddenly froze, his pupils shrinking in surprise. Tiny cracks were spreading across its scales. Why does it feel like it's gotten significantly bigger than just a moment ago? The information panel popped up again. the evolution points section had noticeably changed. Chen Chu immediately noticed. Just one full meal and it already racked up 15 evolution points. His eyebrow twitched slightly, as if he had just discovered an earth-shattering secret. He immediately ran to the mirror to check the changes in his own body. The young man lifted his shirt to reveal toned, rock-hard muscles. My physique was never this perfect before. After the iguana gets stat points, does it feed back into my own body? He thought to himself, full of anticipation. Accumulating enough points will complete the evolution. Maybe it really will become the giant behemoth from my dream. Those amber eyes and razor-sharp teeth had been permanently burned into his mind. Chen Chu excitedly declared with absolute certainty, "And I will definitely become a true martial arts grandmaster." The next day at the supermarket, Chen Chu enthusiastically bought a massive haul of groceries. "Bro, give me 10 kilos of boneless beef and 20 kilos of pork, debone that too," the butcher quickly replied. "All packed up for you, cash or scan." The young man decisively held out his phone. Scan. He lugged the heavy bags of meat into the trunk, thinking to himself, this should be enough for a few meals. Chen Chu carefully slammed the trunk shut, producing a dry thud. The car slowly rolled away, leaving the supermarket parking lot. The next destination was none other than his familiar apartment building. Plates of food, from potatoes to glistening, savory tomato sauce, heavily blanketed the table. Chen Chu sat down and breathed a sigh of relief. Eat up, so I can take another step closer to becoming a great Dao Grandmaster. The marine iguana's eyes lit up, drool endlessly dripping at the sight of the delicious prey. Greedy chomping sounds echoed, and before long the plate was licked clean. To the iguana's taste buds, pork seemingly couldn't compare to the deliciousness of beef. He fell into deep thought, his profound gaze lingering as he calculated something. Chen Chu stretched high and clicked his tongue. The beef was a bit under-seasoned, I'll have to make it richer next time. Meanwhile, the iguana looked incredibly satisfied, lazily sunbathing on the windowsill. The young man stepped into the martial arts room, facing a massive heavy punching bag looming in front of him. His seriousness spiked, Chen Chu staring intently at the target with a razor-sharp gaze. The young man threw a simple punch, but the terrifying power caused the punching bag to shake violently. The system continuously updated notifications. Through training, Bajiquan plus 5 EXP. He satisfyingly observed the status panel. My constitution is enhanced. My cultivation progress is way faster than before. 2 days passed. The rough dents left on the punching bag were too numerous to count. Chen Chu hastily wiped the sweat from his face. This feeling, where just putting in effort to train skyrockets my strength, is absolutely amazing. He suddenly spun around, raising his leg high to unleash a thunderous kick. The powerful strike tore the punching bag in half, sending cotton stuffing flying everywhere. The system panel had undergone a massive change. Character name, Chen Chu. Level 0, Constitution 28, Spirit 16. Evolution points 195-200. Chen Chu leisurely double-checked, according to the ancient martial arts classifications. He muttered, calculating, I have already reached the peak of Ming Jin. Right then, his father's teachings echoed in his ears. The realms of ancient martial arts are divided into 3 tiers, Ming Jin and Hua Jin. The peak of Ming Jin is a master of the current generation, capable of fighting 1 against 10. Back then, he only listened wide-eyed as his father continued. And Jin makes you a top-tier master, 1 against 100, usually only hidden within legendary noble families. The story continued with a solemn tone. As for Hua Jin, they can fight 1 against 1,000. They are the grandmasters recorded in history books, exceedingly rare, epitomized by the spear god Li Xiuwen, Tai Kai master Sun Ludeng, and finally Wing Chun's IP man. As for the realm above Hua Jin, it is the immortal divine saint, a realm that only appears in ancient texts. Chen Chu softly asked out of curiosity, So, Dad, what realm are you in? His fire iguana was currently jumping around like crazy, smashing the room's furniture to pieces. He lay sprawled on the floor panting, groaning in pain. I didn't expect the evolution process to torture my body this horribly. While complaining, the young man suddenly looked at the little creature, as an idea popped into his head. He braced his hands and struggled to stand up. The iguana also turned to the corner of the wall, fully on guard. Chen Chu smirked coldly. "Show me your strength after evolving." He casually swung his arm in an arc, and instantly the iguana's tail struck the punching bag like lightning. He confirmed with absolute satisfaction. The evolved iguana truly possesses extraordinary power. New system info updated. Constitution level jumped from 28 to 56, spirit reached 18, and the evolution point cap expanded to 1,000. The young man realized in awe. To think that evolving the clone directly doubles my constitution and attributes like this. Chen Chu asked himself, I just don't know if this growth is because my original strength was too weak, or if every time the clone evolves, my constitution will skyrocket like this. The aura radiating from him gradually became dangerous. If it's the former, my strength will level up extremely fast, but if it's the latter, then this growth is truly terrifying. The entire room had turned into a chaotic mess, but he only cared about the power. Judging by the ancient martial arts realms for now, I've got one foot in Jin, unlocking the trait to release Gang Jin. The young man chuckled to himself. Does this mean I'm already a martial arts master? He clenched his fists powerfully. However, through training, hitting 100 skill points a day seems to be my absolute limit. Chen Chu looked into the dark void behind him, deducing, if it's isotope reinforcement. The creature suddenly tossed an object beside it, and he understood. If I want to keep leveling up my main body, relying on this marine iguana is my only option. Seeing this scene utterly surprised him. The marine iguana can even release the main body's gang. It stuck its long tongue out, the sparks and electricity around it constantly crackling. While busy calculating, continuous furious knocking came from the door. Chen Chu was distracted by the disturbance. He immediately reeled in his Gang Jin to calm down. The burly man outside kept banging on the door out of sheer impatience. Finally, the door slowly creaked open. He looked at him with an unwelcoming gaze, asking coldly, "What is it?" The other guy's face instantly stiffened, his expression morphing from rage to absolute terror. Behind Chen Chu, a colossal murderous aura seemed to be radiating, as if ready to swallow him whole. The man trembled, thinking to himself, "What's wrong with this kid? It feels like he could crush me to death at any second." He timidly spoke up. Well, it's been a bit noisy upstairs lately, so I came to check. Are you doing renovations?" Chen Chu dropped the cold demeanor and replied awkwardly, "Sorry, I'm not renovating. I've just been doing some training lately. I didn't mean to bother you." The young man exclaimed in his head, "Training? Who the hell trains like there's an earthquake going on?" He accidentally glanced inside the room. The ruins and mess laid bare before him, looking like a horrific brawl had just taken place. Sweating profusely, he muttered, "Holy crap." He hurriedly backed away. "It's fine, it's no bother, but bro, could you maybe switch to a training method that's a little quieter?" The young man cheerfully waved to see the guest off. "No problem, really sorry about that, I'll pay more attention from now on." The neighbor tried to keep his cool. Thanks a lot." The elevator doors slowly closed, right as his marine iguana appeared. It stood quietly beside Chen Chu, its tongue sticking out as if challenging the whole world. Chen Chu stood silently in the middle of the room, marked with scratches and splattered mucus. He narrowed his eyes, observing the chaotic reality around him. He crossed his arms, pondering. The marine iguana clone's body has gotten too big. I can't keep raising it in the house anymore. I guess it's time to return it to the ocean. Gentle waves rippled, reflecting silver light in the tranquil space. Chen Chu parked his car right by the beach, small footprints trailing in the sand, guiding the way for a new journey. Sitting inside the cabin, one hand on the steering wheel, the other resting on the handbrake, he leaned over to look beside him and softly exclaimed, "We're here." Under the fading evening sun, he pushed the door open and stepped out of the car, followed by the iguana clone slowly creeping down to the ground. He closed his eyes slightly, taking a deep breath to feel the sea breeze carrying the salty taste of the ocean brushing past his skin. As the sky darkened, Chen Chu leaned against the car, quietly watching the iguana clone crawl toward the water, the creature's eyes gleaming with wild excitement. The iguana suddenly dove, its tail whipping powerfully to create a massive pillar of water before shooting off the surface and vanishing into the deep sea. Amidst the surging currents, the iguana clone gently closed its eyes to feel the movements around it and activated its chi sense. At the bottom of the sea, covered in algae and bubbles, surrounded by small fish swimming near flickering jellyfish, he mentally assessed. My chi sense can currently cover my entire body within a 10-meter radius. Marine creatures revealed themselves in the dark water. The small fish scattered in panic as a mutated five-eyed fish swam upstream in a bizarre manner. He froze, his eyes glued to the strange target before him, and coldly decided, "This fish has 5 eyes? Then I'll choose it as the appetizer for today." The clone whipped its tail, tearing through the water, its gaze intensely focused, locking onto the sluggish target ahead. He charged at maximum speed, his powerful, undulating body creating fierce underwater currents. The marine iguana clone shot forward like an arrow, white foam churning as mud and algae on the seabed were blasted everywhere. The water surged violently with every movement, its mouth emitting a low growl, directly intimidating the wretched prey. The five-eyed fish looked around in a daze, as if confused. Right behind it, the iguana abruptly stopped, its entire body radiating a fiery red glow like a death signal. With blazing eyes, its long tongue shot out unexpectedly, snapping forward with absolute precision. The marine iguana suddenly transformed, its body expanding as it spiraled through the water, its razor-sharp claws extending, lunging to bite down hard on the fish. After the meal, the iguana lazily drifted. The system voice chimed. "Your clone has consumed a mutated fish species, gaining 10 evolution value points, constitution +1. He swam off swiftly, a hint of surprise in his mind. After evolving, eating normal plants usually only gives 1 point. I didn't expect mutated animals to provide a whole 10 points. The iguana glided gently through the water as he worried internally. The ocean has already spawned mutated creatures like this. Combined with recent news, it looks like this world's peace is really coming to an end. The iguana lunged again, decisively snapping up another deformed fish swimming sluggishly ahead. Its razor-sharp teeth sank into the strange fish's belly, fresh blood blooming, and dissolving into the freezing currents. The system announced that it had reached the daily cap of 100 evolution points and could not gain any more. To an ordinary human, the seabed was pitch black, but to the iguana, it was a brilliantly colorful world. It tilted its head, exhaling trails of bubbles, thinking to itself, "Even though I'm an amphibian that can stay underwater for a long time, since I don't have gills, I still rely on my lungs and have to surface for air occasionally." His spiritual main body was also quietly approaching from behind, the two silhouettes blending into the dark, deep blue water. The iguana clone crawled to the mouth of a cave, its sharp eyes quickly scanning the entire surrounding area to stand guard. Chen Chu's voice echoed with satisfaction. "This spot isn't bad. I'll just let the marine iguana clone rest here." Chen Chu stood by the car and breathed a sigh of relief. Everything was settled. The clone is sorted, time to head back. The car turned onto a dark, deserted road, its headlights piercing the fog and dense trees lining both sides. He leaned back in his seat, one hand loosely on the wheel, his eyes staring thoughtfully ahead as if plotting something. A smirk played on his lips, and he muttered, "Who'd live in a place as remote as this?" Suddenly, a cross-boarded wooden door appeared, with faint, desperate cries for help echoing from inside. The house abruptly sank into a terrifying silence. He frowned. Something doesn't seem right here. He immediately tightened his grip on the wheel, focusing his observation. When practicing martial arts, you must know how to conceal your intent, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Inside the house, Enning Fu and the bald guy quietly watched Chen Chu's car. The bald guy asked if the car had left, and Enning Fu coldly replied, "It's gone." He patted Enning Fu, who was casually chewing on a cake, and whispered, "Good that it's gone." A lackey stepped up, roughly stuffing a rag into the girl's mouth, and snarled, "Behave yourself." The boss delivered a devastating kick to the lackey, roaring, "You useless piece of trash. I told you to watch her, the rag fell out and you didn't even notice." The lackey clutched his aching shoulder, stammering, "Boss, it's pitch black out. How was I supposed to see when I dragged her in?" Lan Lan was tied up tightly, her eyes wide with absolute panic as she watched the boss towering closer to her. He leaned his face in close, squeezed her mouth hard, and threatened, "You better play nice, or I'll call the whole gang in to butcher you." Chen Chu had already stepped out of the car. He stood in the shadows, quietly observing the dilapidated warehouse in front of him. He immediately activated his chi sense to survey the actual situation inside the house. Instantly, he sensed the breathing of 4 people. 2 guys drinking, one leaning against the wall, and a captive girl. Inside, the boss and the lackey were still casually eating and drinking, as if nothing had happened. Lan squeezed her eyes shut, her whole body trembling violently, terror evident on her face despite her desperate attempt to stay quiet. Enning Fu stood to the side, smiling nonchalantly, as calm as if he were watching a good play. Outside, Chen Chu saw right through the whole situation. Human traffickers, 3 men, 2 with knives, best to deal with them in under a minute. He channeled his internal energy, power surging into his palms, preparing to bust the front door down for a preemptive strike, avoiding any hostage situation. Bam! The door was unexpectedly blown wide open, fire and thick dust billowing in, leaving the 3 guys inside stunned and unable to react. The 2 guys nearby hurriedly drew their knives to defend themselves. Using the smoke screen, Chen Chu silently infiltrated like a ghost. He charged in like a tornado, unleashing a thunderous kick that sent the knife in the lackey's hand flying 100 meters away. The kick was so powerful that it pinned the lackey squarely against the back wall. The boss furiously cursed, "Mother of asterisk seeker," then wildly swung his knife, aiming for a sneak attack on Chen Chu's back. He spun around with extreme speed, delivering a lightning-fast elbow strike right to the chest, sending the boss staggering backward in agony. The blow was so forceful that it made him feel like he was about to flip backward, unable to withstand the pressure. He almost collapsed, but from behind, 2 hands caught his back just in time. Enning Fu patted his back lightly, his expression as calm as if nothing had happened. "Boss, take a breather." He stepped up, raising his hands into a fighting stance, his face full of arrogant confidence. "Yue family hammer Enning Fu, bring it." At this moment, Chen Chu also got into his stance, his sharp eyes radiating a bone-chilling killing intent. Luotang Baji Chen Chu. On the outskirts of the city, inside a cold, abandoned factory. After easily handling the small fry, Chen Chu turned to finish off the ringleader. Enning Fu growled, his hands morphing into a bizarre snake fist stance. "Yue family hammer first claw, head-crushing hammer." He wildly flailed his limbs to attack, but Chen Chu simply extended a hand, effortlessly catching his opponent's wrist. He leaned back and yanked hard, causing Enning Fu to completely lose his center of gravity, launching his body straight toward Chen Chu like a moth to a flame. Chen Chu was about to throw a follow-up kick out of spite, but Enning Fu quickly used his leg strength to deflect the attempt and break free. Yue family hammer second claw, ear-splitting cannon. Enning Fu struck swiftly, launching a lightning-fast punch straight at Chen Chu's head. The punch threw him off balance for a split second, and he silently praised in awe. A master. He was a hair's breadth away from falling flat on his ass, but his agile feet managed to keep him standing firm. That fluid, elusive footwork left Enning Fu so stunned his jaw dropped. Before he could even recover, Chen Chu launched a counterattack, kicking Enning Fu hundreds of meters away with his ultimate technique. Bajiquan Iron Mountain Lean. His body scraped against the ground, carving a long trench and kicking up a cloud of dust in the air. Enning Fu spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. He coughed violently, but his eyes blazed with insane excitement. "This is getting interesting." He braced his hands and slowly stood up, speaking in a deep voice. "To think that coming down the mountain this time, I'd run into the true successor of Luotang Baji. The Baji Iron Mountain Lean truly lives up to its reputation." Chen Chu kept his face cold and expressionless, replying, "But what a pity." He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, asking back with a baffled look, "A pity? What the hell do you mean?" He clenched his fists, his face stern as he interrogated. "I didn't expect you to be a thug, and I definitely didn't expect you to master all 3 powerful claws of the Yue family hammer." His voice dropped, full of disappointment. What a pity that the true successor of the Yue family hammer chose the path of evil. Hearing this, he only let out a mocking laugh, a smile dripping with sheer arrogance. He lowered his head slightly, speaking with utter contempt. "What the hell do you know, you wet behind the ears brat? It was only after I came down the mountain that I understood how this world truly works." People hate the poor, not the whores. With that, he charged straight at Chen Chu at terrifying speed, like a human missile. His two fingers, like venomous fangs, prepared to gouge out Chen Chu's eyes in the blink of an eye. He quickly swung his leg, delivering a thunderous kick that sent him flying away. His handsome face smashed straight into the hard ground, receiving absolutely zero mercy. Looking at his opponent sprawled on the ground, he thought deeply. Battles between martial artists are indeed full of danger. The oppressive feeling he gave off was stronger than 10 burly men combined. Raising his right hand, recalling the enemies who had fallen to him, he thought, "It's a pity I still can't fully control the power within my body. Those 3 guys are probably more dead than alive. Next, I have to find a way to train and master this power." Suddenly, muffled MMPH, MMPH, sounds came from a dark corner, drawing Chen Chu's attention, and he immediately turned his head. It was the young girl kidnapped by the thugs, tied up tight. He rushed over to untie her. Lin Roya burst into tears of fear. She threw her arms around Chen Chu, sobbing. Thank you so much." Chen Chu gently patted her. "Don't be afraid, it's over now." He gave a gentle smile, holding up his phone to reassure her. "All right, stop crying. Wait until I leave, then call the police. But could you do me a favor?" Chen Chu patiently instructed. "When the police take your statement, just say you didn't see my face clearly, okay?" She blinked her large, tear-filled eyes and nodded slightly. "MHM, I definitely won't say anything." 10 minutes later, police sirens tore through the night. Dozens of armed police officers got out of their cars, cautiously advancing into the abandoned building. They tensely aimed their guns, high-powered flashlights illuminating every corner alongside the command. "Freeze! Put your hands up." One officer was dumbfounded, his eyes wide as if he couldn't believe the scene before him. This is. The flashlight beams pointed straight at where Lin Roya stood, surrounded by several thugs lying sprawled out on the ground, completely unconscious. At the police station, Guan Qing held a file, knocked on the door, and said loudly, "Deputy Chief, here's the file you asked for." She approached the desk and reported seriously. "Based on the dents and cracks on the busted door, it looks like it was kicked from the outside, flying 3 meters away. The minimum force of that kick had to be at least 1,000 kilograms." Guan Qing placed a stack of evidence photos on the desk and explained. 2 kidnappers died on the spot. The other one suffered severe brain trauma and is currently in a vegetative state. According to Lin Roya's testimony, the person who saved her that night wore a mask, so she couldn't identify him. The deputy chief frowned, analyzing. "How is that possible? Even the world boxing champion's best record on a punching machine is only 800 kilograms. Furthermore, in actual combat, it's impossible to output such an absurd amount of force." Guan Qing eagerly continued the discussion. "His strength has clearly reached a non-human level, but recently, bizarre incidents have been happening more and more often." Suddenly, the sky outside darkened. Thunderstorms tore through the city night, carrying a bizarre surge of spiritual energy like a ghostly omen. Guan said in a deep, reassuring voice, "It's just the calm before the storm." In a clearing near a tranquil lake, the deserted area was filled only with the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. Chen Chu parked his car under the dense shade, acting as nonchalant as if waiting for someone. Suddenly, 3 strangers appeared, engaged in a heated discussion. The boss led the way with 2 lackeys tailing him. One lackey asked, "Boss, you just made some cash and already blew 100 grand buying a chick from Bald Tiger. Isn't that a bit of a waste?" The other agreed. "Yeah, we worked our asses off to find that shipwreck and made 2 million. The boss immediately barked, "You narrow-minded idiots, do you know who that chick is? Once we nab her, we'll have all the money we want." Hearing about money, the 2 lackeys' eyes lit up, asking excitedly, "Really, boss?" The boss turned around and questioned. "4 Eyes, is the company stuff handled?" He replied instantly. "Don't worry, boss, I've got the shipping company all set up over the past 2 days, and I rented a super luxurious office building just like you wanted." He smugly held up 2 fingers, showing off. "That's not all. I even had premium recruiters pick out a gorgeous secretary and a top-tier receptionist, guaranteed to catch your eye." The boss smiled deviously. "Now that I've awakened my underwater breathing superpower, all I need is the location of the shipwreck to clean out all the treasure down there." Thinking of the bright future, his spirit boiled with excitement. "By then, we'll have more money than we can spend. You guys better get ready to enjoy the high life." Suddenly, a strange flash of light darted behind him, catching his attention. Panic set in, sweat pouring down his face in fear his plan was exposed, and he growled, "Who's there?" Chen Chu stood not far away, speaking coldly. "I've seen plenty of perverts, but this is the first time I've met a lunatic like you." The moment he finished speaking, the guy across from him had already whipped out a razor-sharp knife. He charged furiously, not forgetting to leave behind an arrogant remark. "You've got guts, but guys like you usually don't live long." Chen Chu's body suddenly radiated a blinding golden light. He stomped hard on the tree trunk next to him, his majestic aura looking as if he were casting some ultimate secret technique. In the blink of an eye, he summoned a strike of lightning, blasting Zhang Changshu far away. Then he swung his arm, gifting him a 1,000-pound punch dead in the stomach, making the knife in his hand drop freely to the ground. Giving his opponent zero time to breathe, he followed up with a brain-rattling kick, sending him flying and crashing back first into an ancient tree. The lackeys standing by panicked, sweating bullets. How is this possible? After the boss awakened his superpower, his strength skyrocketed. Fighting 5 guys was a breeze. The other lackey trembled, warning, "This is bad, let's run." But before they could even take a step, they were smacked down by an invisible demonic force, pinned flat to the dirt. Zhang Changshu was pale with agony, groaning in confusion. What? What did you do?" He completely ignored the question, dropping a cold order. "Look at me." His eyes flashed with a mystical jade-purple light as he thought to himself, "I have to test how effective this mind control ability is." Chen Chu used that mesmerizing gaze to lock onto his mind and asked, "What is your name? What do you do?" He stared dizzily into his pupils, his consciousness fatting, falling entirely into a state of unconscious obedience. Zhang Changshu sluggishly approached Chen Chu, obediently confessing, "My name is Zhang Changshu. I own a large ship specialized for smuggling. A month ago, I awakened the ability to breathe underwater." He praised internally, "Mind control sure is handy. Now he's nothing more than a puppet in my hands." He continued to report every detail. "I dive for shipwrecks at the bottom of the sea, then sell the treasures I find to the rich kids for cash." The image and booming voice of those tycoons echoed in his mind. "This is the worthy reward for working for me." Suddenly, Zhang Changshu stood stock still like a wooden statue. It turned out Chen Chu had actively disabled the mind control. He collapsed, clutching his arm and screaming, "Ouch, boss, what happened to my arm?" Chen Chu replied nonchalantly, "You were careless and fell, breaking your arm." He completely bought it, replying, "Oh, so that's it, got it." Witnessing that scene, he smugly realized, "My mind control ability even warped the target's internal judgment." Next, Chen Chu issued a firm order. "Go rest on the ship first. I'll go wake up those 2 and follow you up." He obeyed absolutely. "Yes, boss." In his mind, he started calculating. "My iguana is growing at an insane rate. It can't lack food. Zhang Changshu has a ship and connections with the rich. Hijacking his wealth to feed the iguana makes the most sense." Then he turned around, his eyes shooting out a mesmerizing glow aimed at the remaining 2 lackeys, thinking, "Mind control is truly terrifying." Still, controlling Zhang Changshu took a bit of effort, whereas these guys are a piece of cake. It seems this ability relies heavily on the target's willpower. The whole group moved in unison, stepping onto the massive ship anchored right before them. Black Ghost curiously whispered, "Boss Zhang, who is he?" He glared, explaining sternly, "From now on, he is my boss. Show some damn respect." Chen Chu, hands in his pockets, strutted proudly across the deck, much to Black Ghost's confusion. Hello, boss." Zhang Changshu tagged along and reminded, "Go prepare the transfer contract. This ship belongs to the boss now." Not long after, the ocean liner transfer contract was drafted and presented. "Boss, the contract is finalized." Chen Chu held the fresh paper in his hands, issuing a decisive order. "Four Eyes, wait for me at the office tomorrow. Boss Zhang, you're hurt. Come with me to the hospital for a checkup." He replied instantly, "Yes, boss." The next day, deep in the vast ocean, the iguana was eagerly enjoying its feast. The ocean was a paradise holding an endless source of vitality. At the gym, Chen Chu was aggressively pounding the heavy bag, while system notifications constantly popped up above his head. +5 evolution points, +0.5 constitution. He noted internally, "I can't just rely on the iguana clone to level up my strength. I still need my own grueling training." After 2 real fights, I clearly feel my power undergoing a massive transformation. In the underground cave, the iguana wasn't slacking off either. The absorbed energy was gradually being digested through physical activity, plus 6 digestion points. On land, the sun beat down like fire, while bizarre strong winds suddenly blew around the high-rise buildings. Chen Chu walked out of the skyscraper, calculating in his head. The transfer procedures are all done. Just 1 day without going out and my evolution points have increased by over 90 and my body has grown a full 20 centimeters. The building staff bowed respectfully. Take care, boss. He clenched his fist, planning. I should let the iguana out to sea tomorrow. I'm not the only one with powers in this world. I have to combine it with the resources at the bottom of the sea to rapidly boost my strength. Right then, on the surface of the sea, 2 lackeys were drifting and fishing. One opened the fish hold and complained. Fish are scarce lately, barely caught anything. The other, sunbathing, gossiped. I heard a school of fishes swimming by soon might be sharks. Once sharks appear in schools, even killer whales have to steer clear. The blazing sun beat down on the vast ocean, eerily quiet. Deep beneath the water, a few starving sharks were circling, eyeing a poor little whale calf. A shark with razor-sharp teeth noticed Chen Chu's iguana clone hunting nearby. It swam blazingly fast, opening its massive jaws intending to swallow the iguana in one gulp. That overconfident fool stupidly chomped down on the iguana's back, which was as thick as iron armor. The iguana didn't back down. It immediately bit back at the fierce fish's rotten snout. Great white shark actually tastes pretty good, the system chimed. Plus 10 evolution points. Your clone has met the evolution requirements. Would you like to begin evolving now? The iguana slowly crawled onto the shore as he praised inwardly. I get to choose freely this time. Then he hit the confirm command. Instantly, terrifying crimson lightning crackled around the iguana's body. At the same time in the gym, Chen Chu's main body also began a synchronized evolution process. The stat panel appeared. Chen Chu Level 1 Constitution, 130, along with many other outstanding stats. Chen Chu collapsed onto the floor, a wave of excitement spreading. I broke through. My constitution is now 13 times that of a normal person, and my strength has reached the Jin threshold in ancient martial arts. He happily scrolled through the info panel and analyzed. My constitution didn't increase that much after evolving. Makes sense. The initial spike was because my base stats were so garbage. Staring at the attributes section, he was curious. However, what exactly is this water attribute? Returning to the iguana clone, its physique had made a spectacular breakthrough. Its bone density and body weight skyrocketed compared to before. Its strength doubled, its claws toughened, and its burst capability was absolutely terrifying. My swimming speed has hit 70 kilometers per hour, surpassing even large cargo ships. The noise while moving has decreased, and water resistance is way lower. This must be the effect of the water affinity attribute. Chen Chu sat leisurely on the phone, asking, Has anyone wanted to collaborate on a treasure hunt lately? The other end replied, Not yet, boss. Then we'll find it ourselves. How's the investigation going? The report came through. We've pinpointed a few shipwrecks, but Boss Zhang can't dive that deep. He immediately interrupted. No need to worry, just keep at it. He stood up, looking at the nautical map, pondering. The shallow waters along the ancient shipping routes of Country Z, Country H, and Country R have almost all been explored. The deep waters are where the more valuable ships are hidden. 25 kilometers southeast off the coast in the Yellow Sea area, Chen Chu's iguana clone dove to the bottom. After this evolution, its sensory abilities had strengthened significantly, easily perceiving everything within a 20-kilometer radius. After a little fine-tuning, I'll be ready for action. He stretched, realizing a universal truth. Nurturing a clone really is the ultimate way to enjoy life. It's almost 11, time to treat myself. Chen Chu picked up his phone and started scrolling. Meanwhile, on the pedestrian street, Tian Tian was slumped against a lamppost, snoring loudly, drool running down her face, completely blackout drunk. The night street was getting livelier, but the crowd suddenly stopped, their attention drawn to an unusual scene. Chen Chu's mind was completely filled with the aftertaste of his meal. It was so refreshing. Though one meal cost over 3,000 yuan, leaving his balance at only 20 grand, he was about to take over Boss Zhang's company. Experiencing the life of a rich guy didn't seem too bad. At that moment, he finally noticed what the pedestrians had been whispering about. Two fierce-looking thugs were cornering a girl who had collapsed pathetically under a street lamp. Chen Chu coldly pointed at them and yelled, "What are you looking at? Get lost." As soon as he spoke, he thought, "Ever since gaining this power, my martial arts intent has gradually awakened. Whenever I encounter danger, my body instinctively acts on its own." The two guys immediately pulled out knives, glaring furiously at Chen Chu. "Mother of asterisk seeker, what did you just say, punk? If you know what's good for you, scram and we'll pretend nothing happened." He answered with dead silence, but blazing sparks suddenly erupted around him, officially unleashing the Wai Zhao. The flames behind Chen Chu surged violently, taking the form of a massive, ferocious beast, terrifying the two thugs to the core. Even though he had goosebumps from the pressure of his own move, he still radiated an aura that dominated everything. Qin Hao trembled, his face drained of blood. Why? Why do I feel like I'm being targeted by a giant python?" Seeing this, Li Mo turned around. "Let's go, we need to leave now." Tian Tian lay there, suddenly bursting into arrogant laughter. "Ha ha ha, you guys are such cowards, running away already." Witnessing this bizarre scene, he frowned in judgment. Is this chick crazy or something? The guy glanced at his buddy, lust clouding his mind. "A top-tier woman like this, if we pass her up today, we won't get another chance." Hearing this, Li Mo got heated. "No way, we can't let this bitch look down on us." With that, both of them roared and charged. "Boss, no need to be scared of him, he's alone. Yeah, let's take him. This guy is way too arrogant, watch me wreck him." Chen Chu stood firm as a boulder, completely ignoring the two maniacs rushing at him. He lowered his center of gravity slightly, entering a stance ready to launch an attack. A space-daring kick was unleashed, sending the two thugs flying away like soccer balls. Chen Chu retracted his leg and landed, evaluating. "I didn't even use a fraction of my strength, otherwise that kick would have sent them straight to the afterlife." He looked back, speaking coldly. "I'll spare your lives, you're guilty, but not to the point of deserving death." Li Mo hurriedly carried Qin Hao and fled in panic. "Demon, he's a literal demon from hell." Tian Tian stumbled over, teasingly sticking her tongue out as she walked. "Pretty badass." Chen Chu narrowed his eyes, concluding, "Given her state, those guys definitely drugged her." Chen Chu's face darkened and he dialed his phone. "Hello, police? There's a drunk girl acting very strangely in front of the Sheng Tang bar." Tian Tian seductively wrapped her arms around his. "Why'd you call the cops? Am I not pretty? Don't you want to take me away?" A few minutes later, sirens wailed and several police cars quickly arrived at the scene. She was escorted into the car by the police in a groggy state. "Big bro, you're so useless," Chen Chu reported seriously. "Yes, I called it in. I was out getting a late-night snack and happened to bump into her in this state." He quietly watched the police car fade away. Finally done with this side. Now it's time to control the iguana and hunt for some shipwrecks. Deep beneath the ocean, the iguana possessed by Chen Chu radiated chi sense, enveloping the shipwreck. The intel Four Eyes found online was spot on. There really is a sunken ship here. Currently, my chi sense only reaches over 20 meters. I need to keep upgrading. He swam deep into the ship's hold and unexpectedly found countless glowing gold ingots. "I hit the jackpot. It's all pure gold." On the surface, a large ship was cruising. He issued an order. "Four Eyes, steer the ship 3 kilometers east and drop a chest down." "Copy that, boss." Four Eyes carried the chest and asked curiously, "Black ghost under the boss, besides Boss Zhang, is there anyone else who can breathe underwater?" He replied bluntly. "Stop your blabbering, quit prying into the boss's secrets." Chen Chu controlled the iguana to glide swiftly past a chest full of pure gold. He stood still watching the chest being hoisted up to the surface, voices from the ship echoing down. "Start hauling it in." He swam over, gently touching a pitch-black object. "Looks like a piece of metal, but why is it so tough? My claws can easily crush normal steel, yet they didn't leave a single scratch on this. This must be an extremely rare special metal. Boss, the goods are on board, we're heading back." Chen Chu eagerly lifted the metal block. "Definitely top-tier stuff. I need to take this back and study it carefully." While he was feeling smug, a massive dark shadow suddenly lunged at him with terrifying speed, aiming straight for Chen Chu. It clamped its razor-sharp teeth onto the iguana's body. He raged. "Trying to ambush me? You think you're worthy? Even if you're longer and bigger, when it comes to offense and defense, you don't even hold a candle to me." Deep in the abyss, White bone fragments began to faintly appear amidst the water currents. In the blink of an eye, that massive sea monster was reduced to a cold skeleton, while Chen Chu casually carried the rock away. This spiky fish didn't taste bad at all. A few hours later, he stood resting his hand against a large boulder on the beach. Coral reefs battered by waves year-round are extremely hard. The dark night is the perfect time to test my strength. Chen Chu punched the rock hard, feeling the recoil. Even with the kickback, my bone density is nearly 20 times that of a normal person, plus the protection of my outer shell. This punch only made my hand ache a little. This soreness will quickly heal itself. He flexed to build up power, evaluating internally. After that last evolution, my constitution has broken past the 200-point mark. Chen Chu continued to unleash explosive punches. Though I haven't measured it precisely, this punch packs at least over 3,000 catties, roughly 1.5 tons. With the backing of Wai Zhao and Bajiquan, I could easily send anyone to the grave. The final punch caused the boulder to succumb to the pressure, shattering into tiny fragments. He panted, pondering. The punching bag at home isn't enough, and training in the park is too exposed. In the age of social media, if someone films me and posts it online, I'm in massive trouble. Once my identity as a supernatural being is exposed, things will get incredibly complicated. Chen Chu flopped onto the sand, staring at his hands. Only this deserted beach lets me train freely. So refreshing. This healing factor is incredible. I stopped for less than a minute, and the wounds on my hands have completely vanished. Suddenly, the iguana surfaced from the sea, holding the mysterious metal ore in its mouth. He inspected it. The black ore naturally emits a metallic sheen, but looking at the surface, there's nothing particularly special. Chen Chu struggled to lift the black ore, feeling its weight. This chunk has to weigh almost 200 catties. It's incredibly heavy and tough. Even the iguana's claws barely left a mark. It's definitely perfect for forging weapons. However, with my current strength, crafting a suitable weapon out of this will definitely be a massive challenge. He turned around, making a firm decision. I'll put it aside for now. Next, I should handle that pile of gold first. At the yacht anchored on the sea, Chen Chu strode over and asked coldly, "Where are the goods?" The lackey respectfully saluted. "It's all on the ship, boss, completely washed and cleaned." Stepping into the captain's cabin, he silently observed the dazzling pure gold. Zhang Su walked in from behind, gasping in awe. "This pile! How much is this even worth?" He stared at the gold ingots scattered across the table. "In my entire life, I've never seen this much gold." Chen Chu narrowed his eyes and analyzed. "There are no markings on the gold. It's definitely self-cast. Looks like we can't sell it at antique prices." At a bustling downtown market, the crowd of people was moving back and forth endlessly. The staff girl bowed to warmly welcome him. "Hello, please come in." He carried the heavy backpack and asked bluntly, "Excuse me, does your shop buy gold?" She quickly replied, "Yes, we do. Are you looking to sell a necklace or a ring, sir?" Chen Chu casually unzipped his backpack, revealing the pile of shining gold ingots. "I want to get rid of this." Seeing the massive amount of gold, the staff girl's jaw dropped in shock. "Sir, this is too much gold. Please follow me upstairs to meet our general manager." The manager greeted him warmly and shook his hand. "Hello, I am the general manager of the store. May I know your name and how much gold you are looking to trade?" Chen Chu pointed at the backpack. "Chen, I want to sell all this gold." He looked inside the bag, his eyes flashing with shock. "Mr. Chen, I need to have someone appraise the quality of this gold first. Please wait a moment." He sat comfortably on the sofa, calmly waiting for them to finish the appraisal. A while later, the store manager returned enthusiastically. "Mr. Chen, your gold totals 11,250 grams. Since it is self-cast gold, the purity isn't perfect, so we would like to buy it at 400 per gram. What do you think?" Chen Chu smirked. "Deal." The message notification chimed. "Your account balance changed by plus 450,000." He drove away from the store, thinking, "People my age are still working themselves to the bone studying, but the profit from just one expedition is enough for me to sit back and enjoy life for a while." Chen Chu suddenly frowned. A surge of intuition told him something was off. He looked down at the car he was driving. "I need to buy another car. This one has too low of a clearance. Driving it on coastal roads and hitting potholes is extremely inconvenient." At the luxury car showroom, rows of fancy supercars sparkled under the lights. The sales staff were trying their hardest to introduce the latest models to a few customers. Suddenly, Chen Chu strode in and the staff hurriedly bowed. "Welcome." 8 eyes unexpectedly locked onto each other in the showroom, the atmosphere instantly freezing over. Chen Chu looked at the 2 people in front of him, sneering internally. "I didn't expect to run into my ex-girlfriend here. Back when I chased her, I spent quite a bit of money, but look at her, out of sheer vanity. She chased the high life and ran off with rich kids, partying all night." Xiao Qing snuggled against the man beside her, looking at him with utter contempt. "Hubby, that's the stalker who used to chase me." Zhang Jian glanced over arrogantly. "A broke student actually dares to come here and look at cars." Zhang Su was so furious he was about to blow a gasket. "Who are you calling broke?" Chen Chu spread his arm to stop him from rushing in to start a fight. "Let it go." He became even more arrogant. "Yo, why can't I say it? If you aren't a broke student, what are you? Is this a place for you to just stroll around?" She whined coquettishly. "Hubby, ignore him. Let's go look at our car." Xiao Qing walked over to a shiny supercar. "Hubby, I love this one." Zhang Jian looked at the car and forced a smile. "This one. Let me pick out a few more for you." Right after sweet-talking her, he scowled, his face dark as charcoal, thinking, "Money is just for tricking women. I only get a few tens of thousands for my monthly allowance. How the hell can I afford a real supercar for her?" The saleswoman was still enthusiastically introducing the new model to him. "This car has high clearance, spacious interior, and can fit a ton of luggage." Chen Chu thought to himself, "This thing seems to fit my needs." Without a moment's hesitation, Chen Chu pulled out his card. "I'll take this one, swipe it." The staff froze. Sir, this car costs 2,380,000. Will you be financing it or paying in full?" To the absolute shock of the saleswoman, he answered coolly, "Paid in full." Her jaw dropped when she heard that. "What, he's paying for that car outright? That's over 2 million. Zhang Jian put his arm around his mistress and started assuming. "He's just putting on an act in front of you. I refuse to believe that brat has 2 million in his account." Hearing this, Xiao Qing continued to mock. "True, back when he was chasing me, he had to eat instant noodles for a whole month just to afford a gift." The 2 of them strutted over arrogantly. "A student will always be a student. It's fine to look at luxury cars just to see them, but pretending to buy one is ridiculous." He smirked maliciously. "Xiao Qing might be your ex, but you don't need to try so hard. Later, when the card declines for insufficient funds, it'll be incredibly humiliating." Zhang Su chimed in. "What does it have to do with you? If my boss can afford it, what are you gonna do?" Zhang Jian pointed his finger in Chen Chu's face. "If he can afford it, I'll stand right here and call him daddy, but if he can't, he has to call me daddy." Zhang Su immediately sealed the deal. "You're on." She sneered, smugly waiting to watch the show end. "Talking as if you're actually going to swipe the card. If you don't have the cash, stop acting like a tycoon." The saleswoman ran over happily, presenting with both hands. "Sir, here is your card and your keys. This car officially belongs to you now." Chen Chu and Zhang Su smirked triumphantly at the pathetic state of the other 2. "Thanks." Zhang Jian was flustered, all the color draining from his face. "He really bought it. That's over 2 million. Xiao Qing's eyes also widened in shock. "Chen Chu, is he really that rich?" Zhang Su grabbed him by the collar, growling, "Shouldn't you honor your promise and call our boss daddy?" He waved his hand dismissively. "4 eyes, no need to dirty your hands arguing with this kind of trash." He was still fuming at the 2 shrinking back. "The boss is too kind. If it were me, if you didn't call me daddy, you wouldn't be leaving here in one piece." Zhang Jian covered his humiliated face, not daring to look up, while she could only stand there silently watching them leave. Xiao Qing frantically chased after them, trying to hold onto the car as it slowly rolled away. Chen Chu, listen to me first. Please listen to me." The 2 saleswomen watched the scene and whispered judgmentally. "Thought she bagged a tycoon, turns out she missed out on a real dragon. Humans truly only know regret once they've lost something." Above the clouds, the most luxurious restaurant with top-tier service in N City. A long line of staff bowed respectfully as the 2 men walked in. "Welcome." They sat down in the VIP area and the waitress asked softly, "Sir, what would you like to order?" Chen Chu flipped through the menu and ordered decisively. "I'll have the Boston lobster for $58.88 and a king crab for $78.88. Oh, and this one too." He sighed softly. "High prices definitely exist for a reason. This is truly delicious." 2 hot waitresses standing nearby attentively fed him. "Ah, what would you like for your next bite?" He smiled happily. "I've cooked so many meals for the iguana, it's about time I enjoyed the life of a rich man." Chen Chu snapped out of it, looking at the phone in his hand. On the screen popped up a message from his academic advisor. "There's only 1 week left until the semester begins. Remember to report to school on time, everyone." Names like Jian Yuanzhang and Manking and Gu Zhiqiao successively confirmed. Chen Chu clicked his tongue. "Almost forgot I'm still a sophomore." The system panel displayed his status info. Level 1, Constitution and Spirit significantly increased. Talent, Mind Control alongside various other evolutionary traits. He rested his hands behind his head, planning. "Once the semester starts, my time will be severely limited. I need to quickly make a ton of money to upgrade the clone and break through to Enjin as soon as possible." Swordfish, the fastest aquatic species in the ocean, with a max speed of up to 90 kilometers an hour. Chen Chu's iguana clone was frantically chasing it, but right now, his speed far surpassed this ocean assassin. Chen Chu caught the powerful fish and devoured it on the spot, thinking, "Swordfish is a delicacy. Now that I'm full, I have the energy to continue the treasure hunt." The dry system voice chimed, "Plus 10 evolution points." The chi sense he radiated could cover and sense every disturbance within a 10-kilometer radius. He immediately locked onto the next target. Chen Chu stood silently on a high cliff, sighing with deep regret. Searching all the way to the deep seabed and still not a single trace of a ship. These past few days have been a total bust. He dove back down to continue scouting, his mind constantly calculating. The world is starting to completely mutate. Who knows if the government is secretly setting up supernatural task forces? Anyway, ever since getting these powers, I must act with extreme caution. At a premium office building in N City, 2 silhouettes were briskly walking in. Chen Chu, dressed in a sharp suit, strode with absolute confidence. "Ever since Zhang Changshu transferred the company, this is my first time dropping by. This is the most prosperous district in N City. Zhang Changshu really poured his heart into this place." Standing in the lobby of Tianlin Marine Industry, the receptionist quickly bowed. "Assistant Zhang, you've arrived." Zhang Su waved his hand, ordering, "Zhao Enning, notify everyone to gather in the boss's office immediately." "Understood, sir." The boss's office was massive and highly imposing. He calmly sat in the head chair as Zhang Su stood beside him and formally introduced. "This is our new boss, Mr. Chen Chu." The entire staff respectfully said in unison, "Hello, boss." The female staff members' eyes sparkled as they admired Chen Chu's handsome looks, whispering, "So this is the boss. So young and he's this handsome and rich." Zhang Su continued to introduce the core personnel. "Boss, this is Enning Naixin from the event planning department." The girl blushed shyly. "Hello, boss." Another beauty walked over holding a steaming cup of coffee, speaking softly. "Boss, here is your coffee." Zhang Su spoke up. "This is your personal secretary, Su Lengyu." Chen Chu remained focused on the document file in his hand, replying nonchalantly, "M.H.M., just leave the coffee there." Chen Chu pondered deeply. Even though it's currently a hollow company, the equipment is fully stocked. The maintenance costs run over 100,000 yuan a month. Looks like I need to quickly find a few more treasure ships to cover the expenses. He turned to instruct his assistant. "Zhang Su, the meeting ends here. Tell everyone to go back to work and you head back to the ship to keep an eye on things." Zhang Su decisively replied, "Understood, boss." Watching Zhang Su walk away, Chen Chu schemed internally. Although mind control is stable, hypnotizing the subconscious doesn't mean slip-ups are absolutely impossible. It's best to limit their contact with the outside world. The system continuously chimed, +07 Constitution, +07 Constitution. He stood silently by the window looking down at the city, satisfied with himself. Letting the clone hunt on its own like this is so convenient, it feels like I can get stronger just by doing nothing. Chen Chu took a sip of coffee, smiling slightly. So refreshing. Meanwhile, deep at the bottom of the ocean, 2 monsters were engaged in a bloody battle to the death. In his iguana form, he unleashed his razor-sharp claws, taking down the prey with a single fatal blow. Chen Chu grabbed the creature's corpse in his mouth and swam away, assessing. "Is this a mullet? Normally mullets are only about 2 meters long, yet this one was over 4 meters. Incredible speed, teeth sharp as razors. If not for my solid defense, I'd probably be heavily injured." It seems the mutated creatures at the bottom of the sea are becoming increasingly ferocious. He began tearing into the prey, noticing a stark difference. The meat contains a spiritual energy totally different from normal, providing a much more abundant source of energy. The system reported, clone gained 90 evolution points, constitution increased by 9 points. Chen Chu stood in the building, his aura erupting fiercely. There's an issue. That fish was definitely a high-level mutant. Now my bones and flesh are being massively enhanced. The leveling speed is 10 times faster than before. The iguana clone continued to drift, hunting for a new target, but he still sighed. What a shame the ocean is so vast, yet it took forever just to find one mutated fish. At the Tianlin Marine Industry office, Xiao Enning asked excitedly in a low voice, "Sister Lengyu, do you know if our boss is taken?" Su Lengyu leaned against the desk, teasing, "Why, does the little sis want to hit on the boss?" The girl next to them chimed in. Xiao Enning's boy-crazy syndrome is acting up again. Suddenly, a deep voice rang out, startling all three girls. "You all haven't clocked out yet." Su Lengyu hurriedly grabbed some documents and walked over to Chen Chu. "Hello, boss. We still have a few things to wrap up," he thought to himself. "With my sharp hearing, I heard all your gossiping while I was in the elevator. I'll just play dumb to save everyone the embarrassment." Chen Chu reached up to loosen his ties slightly, speaking up. "Since you all are working so hard for the company, I'll treat the whole office to dinner tonight." Xiao Enning cheered excitedly. "Really?" Su Lengyu was also happy. "Thank you, boss." At the luxurious Above the Clouds restaurant, the employees couldn't stop gasping in awe. "The boss's car is a supercar worth over 2 million yuan. That's amazing. The atmosphere here is so extravagant." The restaurant staff handed him the bill. "Sir, your total is 48,888 yuan. Chen Chu casually handed over his card. "Swipe it." The three girls' eyes widened in shock. Which wealthy family does our boss belong to be this extravagant? He's truly so generous. Following a boss like him guarantees a bright future. He checked his watch and said, "I have some things to handle tonight. After you finish eating, I'll call a car to take you all home." The employees said in unison, "Thank you so much, boss." The cool sea breeze blew past, soothing the soul. Among the deserted rocks at night, Chen Chu was still training rigorously. Following each powerful punch, large boulders shattered to pieces. "I've been constantly training. My constitution has far surpassed a normal human's by 20 times, and my punch carries over 2 tons of weight. Even my defense has massively improved. My latent power has probably almost reached the 5-ton threshold." Chen Chu stopped, pondering. "The stronger I get, the harder it is to control my force. Only through relentless training can I fully master my body. Damn it, I overdid it and dented the rock again." Suddenly, a strange ship appeared in the distance, catching his attention. At this hour of the night, someone is actually coming to a remote place like this." A group of people was gathered by the side of the ship discussing. One guy said, "We've done this so many times and you still don't trust me." The guy on the ship replied coldly, "Boss, there's trust, but the old rule still applies. Money up front, goods follow." Chen Chu hid behind a large boulder, observing in silence. "I didn't expect to stumble upon a black market deal. They all have guns. I must act extremely carefully." A guy from the group stepped up to report. "Boss, it's all top-tier merch." The two leaders shook hands with great satisfaction. "Good stuff. Pleasure doing business. Pleasure doing business." The ringleader instructed, "Old 7, the higher-ups have been patrolling very strictly lately. Be careful." The two lackeys hurriedly replied, "Understood, boss. Don't worry. We communicate through private channels. If anything happens to the goods, it will absolutely never trace back to us." Suddenly, Chen Chu swooped down from a high tree branch like an eagle hunting its prey. The two lackeys standing in the back were taken out in the blink of an eye before they even realized what happened. Only then did the ringleader have time to react. He turned pale, trembling as he pulled a pistol from his pocket to defend himself. However, the moment the boss managed to raise his gun, Chen Chu had already closed the gap right in front of him like a ghost. He delivered a 1,000-pound punch, sending the guy flying backward. Chen Chu stood proudly in the middle of the dirt clearing, surrounded by the collapsed criminals. He looked around, saying coldly, "These people lost their humanity a long time ago. Consider it doing the public a favor today." Meanwhile, on the surface of the sea, a massive dark shadow was tearing through the waves, speeding straight toward the ship. Chen Chu's clone suddenly erupted from the water, launching a terrifying bombardment against the moving vessel. The ship was split in two, causing the men on board to panic in absolute terror as they were violently thrown off. They screamed in despair. "We hit a tough one. What the hell is going on?" The shadowy figures went into free fall, sinking into the freezing water. Looking through the crystal-clear water, they were horrified to see a giant monster circling right below their feet. The crowd frantically paddled toward the shore in a desperate struggle for survival. "Monster! There's a monster! Help! Run quickly!" One young man was launched high into the air, screaming tragically, "Boss, save me, save me!" One guy desperately pulled out his gun, his eyes bloodshot from being cornered. "There's no escape anyway, might as well risk it. I refuse to believe you can tank bullets." He pulled the trigger, a bullet tearing through the wind straight at Chen Chu. He simply cast a nonchalant, contemptuous glance at the young man. The man trembled as he watched his gunshot fail to leave even a single scratch on the monster's scales. How is this possible? Immediately, he opened his massive jaws, lunging forward to swallow them whole in a single beat. Blood-curdling screams tore through the air, echoing across the deserted island. He clamped his jaws down on the briefcase, casually swimming past the corpses bobbing on the water's surface. A while later, in Chen Chu's private room, he sat quietly in his chair, holding a thick stack of cash, his mind starting to do the math. 1 stack is 10,000 yuan, 300 stacks makes 3 million. Cold hard cash right in front of me along with the skyrocketing numbers in my bank account. It truly brings a very different feeling. The next morning at a cafe, 2 men couldn't take their eyes off the secretary, praising her. "That girl is gorgeous. That cold aura is truly irresistible." She respectfully handed a file over to Chen Chu. "Boss, please sign this." The 2 guys outside were jaw-dropped, whispering in shock. "Is that guy her boss? He looks so young, who would have thought?" Chen Chu stood up and left the room with the secretary. "Let's go back to the company. Tell everyone to gather for a meeting." Witnessing the young man's authoritative, commanding presence, the 2 guys were stunned. This young man gives off a steady feeling like a massive mountain. His aura is truly terrifying. In the meeting room, Chen Chu directed firmly, "I want everyone to perfect even the smallest details. I will not forget anyone's hard work." He guided the employees according to the established plan. "As long as the company keeps up this momentum, I'll give everyone a very generous red envelope bonus at the end of the year." Suddenly his phone rang and the caller announced, "Chen Chu, today is the last day to register for school. You're the only one missing from the class." Chen Chu replied, startled, "Oh, so sorry about that. I'll be right there." He grabbed his jacket and turned to his staff. "I have to go to school to register. There's nothing else for today, so everyone can get off work early. Also, while I'm away, Su Lengyu will be in full charge of all matters, big or small." Enning Naxin looked clearly shocked. "The boss is still a student." The girl next to her was full of admiration. "The boss's aura is incredibly steady. I thought he was a rich heir raised under extremely strict education." On campus, a few students recognized him. "Holy sh*T, I didn't expect that Chen Chu guy to be a genuine rich kid." They eagerly pulled out their phones to record and take photos. "Look, that car costs over 200 grand. "What? Over 200 grand? On the school forum, a post about Chen Chu quickly shot to the top with the title, "Last day of registration. Wealthy pretty boy appears with supercar worth over 200K. The video of him attracted countless comments. "Is that Chen Chu? Just one summer break and he's had a glow-up," while some were jealous. "What's the big deal about being handsome? Look at that 200K car. His family's net worth must be in the billions." Tian Tian, a girl with a seductive figure wearing a bikini, was intently watching the post. "Looks really familiar." She inadvertently associated it with the gentle, yet irresistibly attractive gaze of that guy. Tian Tian smiled and said to herself, especially those sparkling eyes radiating a cold, steadfast aura. Right after, she saw a clarifying comment. "He's not a freshman, he's a sophomore in our finance department. Oh, starting this semester he's a junior. His name is Chen Chu." Tian Tian was stunned and slightly annoyed. "Finance department? I didn't expect him to be in the same major as me." Chen Chu strolled across campus, evaluating. "My constitution and strength are leveling up way too fast, but right now I only know a few moves of Baji Quan, Cloud Ascending Step, and Snap Kicking. I have to learn more techniques to fully master this power. Passing by the Taekwondo club, he glanced at them with disdain. All flash. For trash like this, I only need one slap to obliterate them. To truly control my power, I probably still need to undergo rigorous training myself. At the Longteng Machinery Company, Chen Chu walked in, getting straight to the point with the staff. I want to place an order for over 100 tons of steel. The staff girl enthusiastically led him inside. Please step into the VIP room. I will contact the manager right away. Inside the luxurious VIP room, voices of negotiation echoed steadily. The manager shook his hand, smiling brightly. Hello, what kind of specialty steel would you like to order? He answered decisively. A solid steel pillar, 2 meters in diameter, 5 meters long, along with a few separate iron bars weighing 1 ton, 5 tons, 10 tons, and 20 tons respectively. The manager quickly consulted the specs on his computer. Please have a seat. Based on these requirements, the total weight is around 200 tons, estimated price over 700k yuan. We will finalize the price once the products are finished. Hearing the quote, Chen Chu nodded and agreed immediately. No problem, let's sign the contract. The next morning at Jiang Changshu's port, a lackey reported, Boss, this entire row of warehouses is now under your ownership. Chen Chu was extremely satisfied. Excellent. Jiang Su, you head back first. I want to inspect the area myself. The system notified him after the clone's hard work eating. Gained 8 evolution points, 0.8 constitution. He pondered. Ming Jin and Jin, Hua Jin and beyond Hua Jin. I still haven't reached the Hua Jin threshold yet. The road ahead is still very long. Looking around the massive warehouse area, he calculated internally. Once the steel pillar is erected in here, this place will become my secret training ground. He mentally compared the leveling speeds. Gaining at least 100 points a day, my next evolution won't happen for a whole month. Compared to the iguana's progression, my main body is still too slow. In a suburban area, the police force was locking down a severe murder scene. A female officer reported the situation to Guande. The victim is Luo Hao, also known as Boss Luo, who has dozens of subordinates and a large bar under his belt. His right arm was bitten off by extreme force, leaving only a bit of skin attached. The other guy is Old 7. His chest suffered a massive impact that shattered his internal organs, killing him instantly. All 3 were taken down within a minute by the same person. This power is terrifying, the execution extremely decisive. Who could possibly pull this off? Suddenly, the walkie-talkie buzzed with an urgent call. Captain, we just discovered another body out at sea. At the Tianlin Marine Industry office, Yu Ling apprehensively reported, Boss, the company hasn't had any work lately. The staff is just sitting around doing nothing. Should we run some ads or something? Chen Chu lay relaxed on the massage chair, answering nonchalantly. No need. Doing business is like fishing. You have to patiently wait for the fish to take the bait. She looked at him with concern and questioned. Wait for the fish to bite. But if we don't promote or advertise, who's going to randomly come hand us money? Suddenly, Enning Naxin knocked on the door frantically, shouting inside. Boss, someone is looking for you, saying they want to discuss a massive business deal. Hearing this, the secretary was dumbfounded. Huh, really? Is someone really coming to hand us money? A guy walked in with an arrogant swagger, lifting his chin to ask, Where the hell is Boss Zhang? Chen Chu calmly spread his arms, replying coldly, Him and all of his men are now under my management. He smirked, intrigued, and slowly stepped closer. Impressive. I didn't expect you'd be able to subjugate Boss Zhang. Let me introduce myself. I'm Wang Tianhua. He also put on a welcoming front. Ah, Boss Wang, please sit. Let's take our time and chat. Yu Ling tactfully spoke up. Boss, I'll go pour tea for you too. He nodded slightly. Go ahead. He got straight to the point. Little bro, I have the coordinates of a shipwreck from hundreds of years ago. It's worth at least hundreds of millions of yuan. So, can you handle it? He didn't answer, but asked instead. If this shipment succeeds, how do you plan to split it, Boss Wang? Wang Tianhua leaned back in his chair, arrogantly quoting a price. The idea is mine, so 7 for me, 3 for you. International teams all work for this price. Chen Chu bluntly replied without holding back. Then go find an international team to do it. Hearing this, he froze for a second before backing down. Then how do you want to split it? He calmly spread his hand. At least 50-50. If you don't agree, the deal is off. Wang Tianhua's face stiffened as his mind began calculating. The laws are extremely tight right now. Basically, no one dares to salvage this type of ship on their own. Looks like I can only rely on this brat. Thinking of this, he shot up from his chair. Are you certain you can salvage it? He smiled confidently, spreading his arms wide. I have plenty of guys like Boss Zhang under me. If you're not at ease, Boss Wang, you can go test our capabilities. Wang Tianhua finally had to concede, reaching out for a firm handshake. 50-50 it is. Pleasure doing business. He also smiled and replied, pleasure doing business. Back at Guanda's office, he was tearing his hair out over the bizarre case. They say it with such certainty, but where the hell do you find a creature with claws this massive? Then a sudden thought flashed in his mind. Could this be some kind of abnormal supernatural creature? He stared intently at the computer screen as a classified information panel appeared. The internal chat system code S310 displayed Guanda's message. Severe murder case occurred, including 4 deaths at sea with signs of a ferocious beast attack. Classified document code S310, MSJ immediately recorded and responded. Received. Specialists will be sent to investigate. At that moment, Chen Chu and Yu Ling were standing in front of a giant steel pillar. She asked curiously, Boss, what is this massive pillar used for? He casually explained, burying a pillar at the port can suppress the dragon kings of the 4 seas and regulate the water veins in all directions. She slowly walked closer, her eyes full of admiration. Boss, you are truly so knowledgeable. He looked at his account balance, which only had 321,800 yuan left, and couldn't help but click his tongue in regret. Money really isn't enough to spend. Just a blink of an eye and it's depleted this much. At the campus of Apartment X, Chen Chu's luxury car slowly pulled up to the gate. Yu Ling blushed shyly. Boss, I troubled you to drive me home again. How about you come up for a glass of water? But he flat out refused. No need, I have important business to handle later. Hearing this, a hint of disappointment flashed across her face. I see. She stood silently watching the car fade from view, secretly blaming herself. Why was I so bold, daring to blurt out an invitation like that? Then she remembered something, becoming even more embarrassed. Oh crap, I think I haven't put away all the underwear in my house yet, but still sigh. As for Chen Chu, he drove while deep in thought. Earlier during dinner, I accidentally snapped my chopsticks in half. I need to practice controlling my force more. That is the most crucial thing right now. The scene shifted to the deserted beach. Chen Chu was unleashing a continuous barrage of thunderous punches on the massive boulder in front of him. Looking at his scratch-covered hands, he sighed softly. I've finally trained to the point where I can perfectly control and output force. He then spread his arms, executing the Qi Sense Wai Zhao skill. My Qi Sense Wai Zhao can already cover a 30-meter radius. I can clearly sense every tiny movement around me. 3 days later, at the bottom of the ocean, Chen Chu's clone was devouring a fish. This red-eyed fish is a mutant species, exactly like the one I saw the other day. The notification panel popped up. Plus 210 evolution points, plus 21 constitution. He surfaced, observing a bobbing ship. Wang Tianhua's ship has slowed down. They must be nearing the location. Chen Chu immediately grabbed his phone and called his partner. Boss Wang, my team is in position. When do we begin the operation? The guy on the other end was amazed. That's fast efficiency. Give me a moment to prepare. We'll start tonight. He agreed. All right. Memories of the hours of grueling training flooded back. Through the cultivation process, Qi Sense plus 15. While maintaining Qi Sense, my main body's strength can still continue to level up. On the surface, Wang Tianhua spoke impatiently into the walkie-talkie. Little bro, I don't see any sign of your team here. Chen Chu reassured him. They're all underwater. Just give me the exact coordinates. Hearing that, he was shocked. What? Are they that good? My ship is located 200 meters to the left. Target is at a depth of 700 to 800 meters. Deep underwater, Chen Chu's clone swam swiftly. With my physique, the water pressure here still makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. He stopped in front of a pitch-black cave. However, it seems like there's nothing here. He reported via walkie-talkie. Depth 800 meters, perimeter 200 meters, no signs found. Wang Tianhua rejoiced happily. You cleared the area that fast? That's insane efficiency. But then suspicion arose as he looked down at the vast ocean. It's only been 20 minutes and it's completely cleared. How could it be that fast? A subordinate hurriedly reported. Boss, after hundreds of years of storms, the ship's position might have shifted. Quickly move about 1,000 meters to the east. He instantly relayed it over the walkie-talkie. Sorry, little bro, please move about 1,000 meters east and check it out. Beneath the water, Chen Chu dove deeper into the treacherous rock crevices. As he swam, he maintained his Qi Sense Wai Zhao at maximum output. The clone's eyes suddenly flashed brilliantly. Found it. On the surface, the workers were yelling directions for the winch pulling a chest up from the bottom. Push harder, it's almost up. Inside the freshly opened chest were precious antiques. A lackey ran over to joyfully report. Boss, 8 items are broken, but there are still 3 beautiful, intact pieces. Estimated value is around 30 million yuan. If we sell them on the black market, we can pull in an extra 20 million. Wang Tianhua excitedly spoke into the walkie-talkie. Hear that, little bro? That's roughly the situation. Chen Chu replied casually. You handle all the selling stuff. I only care about getting paid. A few days later, he happily brought 2 briefcases full of cash. Total sales came to over 23 million yuan. Split down the middle, that's 11.5 million each. Count it. He just glanced at the money. No need, I trust you. The guy laughed out loud hearing that. Haha, little bro, you're straightforward. Next time I find a shipwreck, I'll definitely hit you up again. Chen Chu looked at his skyrocketing bank account balance, planning inwardly. Money problems are solved, but my current strength is still way too weak. I need to train at least until my body is bulletproof before I dare dive into riskier adventures. The next day at the Tianlin Marine Industry office, seeing Chen Chu walk in, Xiao Hui immediately approached. Boss, someone applied yesterday. He's asking for a 50K monthly salary but guarantees to bring in 200 clients a month. He replied coldly. Let me see it. Enning Naxin also smiled warmly. Welcome back, boss. He picked up the paper and glanced over the content. Member of the Solicitation Association, extremely extensive network. After reading, he crumpled the paper without hesitation. Trash it, he's a scammer. Enning Naxin blushed, looking at him with deep concern. Why hasn't the boss been to the office the past few days? He kept walking and replied. I was busy handling a massive contract the past few days, just brought in a few million yuan. Hearing that, she looked at him with sheer admiration. Wow, the boss is amazing. He smiled and glanced over. Didn't I promise to treat everyone to dinner once this deal was done? Tonight, I'm taking you all to above the clouds to relax. Saying that, he waved and walked away. Enning Naxin cried out in delight. The boss is too handsome. Xiao Hui also sighed. This job is so great, light work, high pay, and the boss is generous and treats us to meals all the time. Unlike my friend whose company manager constantly bullies her. Her face flushed as she watched Chen Chu's back. Sigh, if the boss has any intentions toward me, should I just go with it? At the Above the Clouds restaurant, after the 4 of them finished dining, Enning Naxin rested her chin on her hand, looking at Chen Chu. Boss, I didn't know the deep-sea fishing industry was this lucrative. Xiao Hui was also curious. You just charter a boat to go fishing and make a few million yuan a day? He sat with absolute CEO swagger, answering nonchalantly. Just good luck. Catching a few rare fish, one can be worth hundreds of thousands. Suddenly, an orange-haired man approached, asking politely, Excuse me, are you Mr. Chen, the boss of Tianlin Marine Industry? He placed a hand over his chest courteously and smiled. Hello, Mr. Chen. I am the vice president of the Tianhang Group, Li Tianhui, and also a friend of Wang Tianhua. Chen Chu replied politely. Hello. Li Tianhui took the initiative to extend his hand, proposing, Mr. Chen, I want to get involved in the ocean fishing industry. Would you be interested in collaborating? He nodded happily. As long as it makes money, I'm interested. Come to my company tomorrow to discuss the details. Yu Ling quickly stepped forward, respectfully handing over a business card. Director Li, this is our boss's business card. He accepted the card and smiled, confirming the appointment. Great, then I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Mr. Chen. Xiao Hui couldn't help but be amazed. I didn't expect this Mr. Chen to be so young. Enning Naxin whispered curiously. Sister Xiao Hui, is this Tianhang Group really that powerful? Xiao Hui explained. Their chairman holds hundreds of millions of yuan in assets. Their power is even more formidable than the biggest tycoons in N City. She narrowed her eyes and speculated. This young master Li shares the same surname as the chairman of Tianhang Group. It's very likely they belong to the same family tree. Enning Naxin pouted, mocking. A few hundred million yuan. Yu Ling watched Li Tianhui's receding figure and sighed softly. Tusk, just out to eat and we bump into a literal rich heir. Chen Chu rubbed his chin, deeply amused. So the rich kids are also interested in these shipwrecks. Deep beneath the ocean, his clone clamped its jaws down on two massive fish, thinking to itself, "What a coincidence. I was just talking to Zyro ending about fish worth tens of millions, and now I've caught them right away, and two of them at that." At the deserted warehouse district, the moonlight shimmered over the silent ground. The two rare fish had been neatly packed into the freezer. Fish worth tens of millions of yuan. The meat quality truly is exceptional. He crossed his arms, looking at the haul, feeling emotional. How can these even be called fish anymore? They're clearly swimming piles of cash. Next, I just need to find the right merchant to offload them. The next day, his secretary reported, "Boss, young Master Li has been waiting for you at the office for a long time." Chen Chu was still absorbed in his training, replying briefly, "Oh, tell him to wait a bit, I'll be right there." At the Tianlin Marine Industry office. Inside the office, Li Tianhui got straight to the point. "Boss Chen, I've acquired the exact coordinates of the shipwreck." Chen Chu narrowed his eyes, looking curious. "With the wealth of the Tianheng Group, young Master Li is also interested in salvaging sunken ships," he scoffed. "It's money. Who complains about having too much?" He rested his chin on his hand, calmly quoting, "Well then, after a successful salvage, we split it 50-50. He agreed heartily. "Deal." His sharp eyes observed his opponent. Judging by his demeanor, his goal clearly isn't just the little bit of gold on that ship. There's something shady about this. Suddenly, he remembered the goods in his warehouse. "Right, Director Li, do you know any merchants who buy premium seafood? I happen to have a 4-meter-long bluefin tuna." He gasped in admiration. "Boss Chen is truly incredible. You actually managed to catch a bluefin tuna." Li Tianhui pulled out his phone, waving it slightly with full confidence. "I actually do know someone who specializes in buying top-tier seafood. We'll have lunch today, and I'll introduce you to him." At the warehouse, Chen Chu reassured the guest. "Don't be impatient, Director Lin. The fish are right there, they're not going anywhere." A subordinate reached in to check the ice layer and cheered. "Boss, the fish meat quality is flawless, all of it is premium grade A." Director Lin was overjoyed as if he struck gold. "This fish of yours is an absolute masterpiece. Since we're acquaintances, I'll offer a flat 7 million yuan. What do you say?" He raised his hand decisively. "Deal, lock in that price." Yu Ling looked at him, smiling with utter admiration. "Just one fish sold for 7 million yuan, it's truly unbelievable." A while later, at the Wanhao International Mall. Chen Chu, looking sharp in a black suit, strode ahead. "A pretty good haul today, got to spend a little." Yu Ling followed behind, overwhelmed by the splendor of the place. Wanhao International, the sanctuary of the most luxurious goods. Seeing him casually swipe his card to buy piles of expensive items, her eyes widened in shock. This is what a life drowning in gold and luxury really looks like. The boss makes money look like nothing. The store staff were absolutely thrilled. He's truly a tycoon VIP. A while later, at the wholesale warehouse, Yu Ling looked back at the pile of goods, timidly calculating in her head. "My God, the watch on the boss's wrist alone is over 2 million yuan. With all the luxury items he bought for me, it must add up to over 2 million more." Chen Chu casually tossed the designer bags onto the sofa, turning to instruct his secretary. "Leng Yu, I want to buy a villa. Help me look for one. The requirements are spacious and comfortable in a quiet location and priced around 30 million yuan." Yu Ling bowed respectfully in acknowledgement. "Yes, I understand." Deep at the bottom of the ocean, Chen Chu's clone spotted 2 massive nuclear submarines gliding above. He clicked his tongue in deep regret. "It's a pity my current strength isn't enough, otherwise I'd definitely crush those 2 subs to scrap." Suddenly, in a dark, rocky crevice, he spotted the silhouette of a giant crab lurking. On high alert, he recoiled. "Looks like there's something down there I shouldn't mess with. Better steer clear for now, it's not the time to take risks." However, the giant crab suddenly emerged from the cave like an armored war machine. With razor-sharp reflexes, Chen Chu dodged the massive pincer lunging at him, growling low. "You think I'm an easy target?" He whipped his tail with thunderous force, deflecting its aggressive pincer. Gritting his teeth, he felt the impact. This monster is way stronger than that mutated fish from before. Chen Chu darted unpredictably, evading the crab's entire storm of attacks. He struggled to create some distance to observe. The explosive power of this beast has to be over a dozen tons. Now this is getting interesting. With that thought, he built up momentum and charged straight at the crab's head. creating a massive underwater explosion that shook the seabed. When the dust settled, the crab's corpse was left with a gaping hole. He slowly swam out. "This thing is too huge to finish in one meal. I'll have to absorb it slowly." Back at home, Chen Chu was deeply engrossed in researching mysterious maritime phenomena on his laptop. He carefully read every line of information. Giant ribbonfish, giant tiger-headed fish, and now a giant spider crab. I'm afraid this world is about to undergo a massive upheaval. The latest headline caught his eye. Country M's SSN 698 nuclear submarine disappeared at a depth of 600 meters in the Pacific. The final signal indicated an attack by an unidentified giant creature. The Easter nuclear submarine was struck by an iceberg in the Arctic Ocean, killing 127 people. Chen Chu kicked his feet up on the desk, pondering. These all happened since the year 2000. It seems the deeper the water, the more terrifying the monsters hiding within. In the underwater cave, Chen Chu's clone was slowly devouring the mutated crab's corpse as the system continuously reported. Plus 290 evolution points, plus 29 constitution. Plus 280 evolution points, plus 28 constitution. He looked back at his own physical changes. My body is already 18 meters long now. Unable to contain his excitement, he threw a punch at the solid steel pillar. Constitution increased by over 100 points. My bone and muscle density have reached a completely new level. Punching solid steel doesn't even hurt anymore. Chen Chu looked at his hand, confidently declaring, "Even if I take a bullet now, it'll probably just graze my skin. With the reaction speed of this defense, ordinary bullets can't even scratch me anymore." At Xinhua bookstore, Chen Chu stood silently among the bookshelves, intently studying every page. He gently turned the page, sighing with appreciation. This world is truly not as simple as it seems. Learning and reading will never be meaningless. A few girls nearby kept stealing infatuated glances at him. "Wow, look at that guy, he's so freaking handsome. Should we go ask for his number?" Never mind, I don't have the guts." He picked out 2 books on Xingyi Quan and Baji Quan, telling himself, "Only by constantly learning can I continue to improve." At the warehouse, Chen Chu began applying the techniques from the books into practice, slamming his fists heavily into the punching bag. Baji Quan and Xingyi Quan look simple at first glance, but fully merging and mastering them is actually incredibly difficult. Suddenly, his phone buzzed violently. It was Li Tianrui calling. Chen Chu picked up, and the other end immediately reported. "Boss Chen, we've arrived," he replied calmly. "All right, send me your coordinates. My guys will go underwater to operate in half a day." Half a day later, the iguana clone was slowly approaching the treasure chest on the seabed. Chen Chu reported, "Boss Li, I've found the gold and some broken porcelain." Tianrui hurriedly pressed, "Did you see any special-looking box?" He smiled with a hidden meaning. "As long as you find that box, I can leave all the other items on the shipwreck entirely to you." Chen Chu's voice echoed from the walkie-talkie. "Got it, let me check again." Using his clone, he lifted the chest of gold, calculating internally. Converted to cash, this gold should be worth over 20 million yuan. As for that special box. He looked at the object in his hand with utter disdain. HMPH, it's just a handful of slimy black mud. I really don't get why he desires this thing so badly. The box was opened right in front of Li Tianrui, revealing nothing inside but a pile of pitch-black, sticky substance. He clutched his head in horror, screaming, "How is this possible? My elixir! Where is my elixir?" Meanwhile, Guanda was at a murder scene, his subordinate reporting. The victim died exactly like the previous ones, completely drained of blood, muscles shriveled like they were dried out. But strangely, the time of death was only 10 hours ago. We'll just have to wait for the higher-ups to send specialists to investigate. He observed thoughtfully. The dead are all hardcore thugs, not a single decent person among them, but the common factor is that they all had extremely robust physiques. With that thought, he turned and ordered his subordinate. "Zhao Zhang, write up a report later demanding the immediate suspension of all entertainment plazas in the city." He sternly obeyed. "Understood." In the dead of the silent night, a man was desperately thrashing in agony, while a girl clamped her teeth tightly onto his neck, her mouth smeared with horrifying fresh blood. Guanda suddenly yelled into the walkie-talkie, his face full of sheer fury. "What? The suspension order was clearly executed, so why are there 4 more dead?" Meanwhile, Chen Chu was still passionately training, his aura blazing. After several days of grueling training, both Baji Quan and Xingyi Quan have made massive breakthroughs. The system suddenly popped up. You have comprehended a new fist technique, please name it. He looked at the notification panel, thought for a moment, and decided. Then let's name it Beng Quan, a fusion of Baji Quan's essence and Xingyi Quan's half-step Beng Quan. One step, one crush, fists like heavy cannons. At this moment, a fishing boat was drifting in the middle of the vast ocean. The helmsman stretched and laughed gleefully. Achoo! Chased that school of fish for so long, finally caught them all. Gotta pay close attention, the payout this time is huge. This one net is worth millions of yuan, we can't afford any mistakes. Suddenly the alarm blared and a lackey rushed in frantically. Boss, there's a massive hole in the middle of the net, the fish all escaped. He roared in a fury. Damn it, haul the net in right now. But the lackey's next words shattered all hope. The sonar clearly doesn't show any obstacles, but the net is stuck and we can't pull it up, boss. Deep underwater, the iguana clone was clutching a pile of fresh fish. Devouring over a dozen in one go, having food delivered right to my mouth like this is so satisfying. Thanks to the water affinity attribute, even the most advanced sonar can't detect me. Fully fed and hydrated, time to head home. After finally hoisting the net up, seeing it torn to shreds, the ship owner fell to his knees and clutched his head in despair. Why the hell is the net so torn up? The fish are all gone. What kind of demon or deity is playing tricks on me? At the city gates, Chen Chu was on his phone, Li Tianrui's voice ringing out. Boss Chen, I'm back in N City. As a thank you, I'm taking you to a very interesting place tonight. He smiled and replied, if young Master Li is inviting me, I definitely have to go check it out. At the Mingluo Elegant Pavilion, the magnificent architecture sparkled brilliantly under the mysterious night sky. A girl clad in a seductive cheongsam bowed slightly. Welcome, young Master Li and young Master Chen, thank you for gracing us with your presence. Li Tianrui spread his arms and asked boldly, the cloud-soaring hall isn't booked, is it? She replied softly. The cloud-soaring hall is always reserved exclusively for young Master Li. Inside the cloud-soaring hall, he and Li Tianrui sat across from each other at a lavish banquet table, surrounded by a bevy of beauties waiting on them. He rested his chin on his hand, looking around and thinking to himself, there's definitely a reason why ancient kings neglected their courts. Enjoying the atmosphere in places like this isn't bad at all. After the party, Chen Chu's car rolled slowly down the deserted road when suddenly, a dark shadow darted through the bushes at blinding speed. While driving, he activated his Qi Sense Wai Zhao skill. Something is tailing me. This murderous intent is really uncomfortable, exactly like the feeling of being stared down by that giant iguana that night. He flashed a cold smirk, his eyes glowing with excitement. A monster, a demon. This is getting my blood pumping. It's been a while since I've stretched my muscles. Suddenly, a convertible sped up beside him, the guy inside shouting a challenge. Hey bro, wanna race? Chen Chu scoffed disdainfully and coldly rolled up his window, cutting off the annoyance. Right after, he floored the gas pedal, executing a masterful, tire-burning drift. The two guys in the convertible were frozen in shock. Holy sh*T, that cornering was insane. Does he have a death wish? Good God, is he even human? He silently marveled. Even a Porsche couldn't catch up at this speed, yet that weird thing is still keeping pace. Seems its strength is nothing to scoff at. Chen Chu parked his car right by the coast and stepped out, shouting, Come on out, I'm not a bad guy. A black-haired girl timidly hid behind a coconut tree, cautiously poking her head out, trembling. You say such interesting things, big bro. I was swimming in the sea and some creep stole my clothes. Could you lend me something to wear? The moment he laid eyes on her, he didn't hesitate for a second, launching himself forward like an arrow, startling her. You want clothes? Then I'll gift them to you right now. He threw a 1,000-pound punch straight at her face, creating a concussive boom. However, the scene before his eyes left him momentarily stunned. As the smoke cleared, a foul, four-armed monster appeared before Chen Chu. It swung a blade at him, growling, Such rich vitality, I want to devour your flesh so badly. He feigned panic and fell back. What the hell are you? It sneered. I am human too, just a more perfect version. My name is Yin Zio. It opened its bloody maw, a long, drooling tongue lolling out. Eating you is equivalent to nourishing myself with hundreds of people brimming with vitality. It'll be enough to complete my current evolution stage. With that, it slashed fiercely at him, but Chen Chu leaped into the air with lightning speed to dodge. He coldly appeared right behind it. "You want to eat my flesh? Let's see if you have the skills for it." It was stunned in shock. "Your speed, how is it so fast?" Chen Chu unleashed a devastating punch with terrifying power, sending it flying dozens of meters away. Taking the death blow head-on, its body seemed drained of all life force, sprawled on the ground, gasping in total disbelief. "How is this possible? Your body clearly doesn't have the aura of an awakened one." Chen Chu delivered a thunderous strike to a coconut tree trunk, snapping it in half in the blink of an eye. He furiously cleared out the surrounding trees. Every time a tree fell, the monster writhed in agonizing pain. He coldly glared at his opponent. "It can fuse with wood and stone, but if I destroy its secondary bodies, its aura will wither away too." After leveling the entire surrounding woods, he casually approached it, radiating murderous intent. Chen Chu looked down with utter disdain. "Your fusion skill for self-defense is indeed quite good, but it's a pity you messed with the wrong guy. Spill it, and I'll give you a quick and painless death." Riddled with injuries, it lay flat on the ground, laughing mockingly at itself. "Look at the state of me. Do you really think I'm still afraid to die? Ha ha ha, the moonlight is gorgeous tonight. Too bad I won't have the chance to see it again. But that's fine, I've already succeeded in my revenge." It smirked arrogantly. "If you had just given me one more month to perfect my shadow transformation, by then, even if a martial god came, I wouldn't even bat an eye." He stood silently watching the entity slowly dissolve. "But why did I have to run into a monster like you in such a peaceful city?" A notification panel suddenly popped up. "You have slain a polluted one, gained 10 attribute points." He stared into the void in confusion. "Polluted one? Attribute points? What the hell are these things?" The system immediately answered. "Attribute points are used to level up skills, enhance equipment, strengthen the main body, or even acquire special abilities like lightning, frost, or flame." Chen Chu rested his chin on his hand, pondering. "If I possess superhuman abilities, then the giant iguana definitely will too." A bold idea sparked in his mind, bringing an excited smile to his face. A real-life version of Godzilla. The image of a majestic, fire-breathing Godzilla-like behemoth appeared vividly in his mind. At the deserted warehouse, Chen Chu's car had long since parked outside. Inside, he sat in front of the computer screen, furiously researching. What are polluted ones and awakened ones exactly? The only result he got was the text. No relevant information found. He stretched tiredly. "Looks like the government has completely blocked out all news about this. That's fine, my strength is still too weak. I'll wait until I'm stronger to make contact with that world." He rested his hands behind his head, daydreaming. "For example, when my constitution breaks through the 10,000 threshold." The electronic voice rang out. "Please select an attribute element to enhance. Wind, fire, water, earth, lightning, light, darkness. Your current constitution only allows you to select one basic element." He decisively put his hands down, commanding, "Enhance the lightning element." The system panel updated. Successfully used attribute points to enhance superpower. Gain the skill lightning control plus 1 spirit point. Chen Chu smiled, watching the tiny bolts of electricity crackling on his fingertips. "A mini version of lightning? Oh well, I'll take it. Lightning control also has an experience level, meaning it can be leveled up through hard training. That's acceptable for now." The status panel appeared. Character, Chen Chu. Level 1 Constitution, 456. Spirit, 57. Abilities, Mind Control, Waging Martial Arts Beginner, 571,000. Chi Sense Beginner, 26,500. Cloud Ascending Step Intermediate, 517,1000. Snap Kicking Intermediate, 412,1000. Superpower Lightning Control Beginner, 10,10000. Attribute Points, 0. Clone Armored Spiked Iguana. Status, Mature Ferocious Beast. Evolution, second time. Evolution Progress, 31,95000. Abilities, Observation Hacky Armament Hacky. Talents, Water Affinity Lightning Control. Deep underwater, lightning was surging around the tail of Chen Chu's clone. He whipped a fish hard, making its eyes roll back from instant electrocution. He clamped down on his prey. Another mutated creature, its strength is no less than that giant spider crab from before. Gain 980 evolution points. He glanced at his surroundings with absolute authority. The giant iguana now possesses the power of lightning too, perhaps even stronger than my main body. At the N City airport, Guandu and his subordinates stood solemnly, awaiting some special guests. Seeing the people he was waiting for, he walked over warmly. "You two must be the comrades from the Special Affairs Bureau, right? I'm Guandu, in charge of receiving you." The man in black stepped up for a firm handshake. "I am Huang Junfeng. We'll be relying on your cooperation and assistance this time." The man in white cut in coldly. "Nangong Jian, in charge of case 907. Take us to see the body immediately." In the freezing morgue, a corpse shriveled up like an ancient mummy was brought out. He pointed and reported, "This victim just died last night. He's the only body we found. For the past 4 days, 4 people have mysteriously passed away like this every night." Huang Junfeng put on his gloves and activated his ability on the corpse. A surge of spiritual energy slowly took shape. The ghostly face of a woman materialized in midair. Nangong Jian stood nearby and spoke in a deep voice. "The aura is withered, she's dead." Junfeng turned in shock. "What? She's dead?" The scene shifted to the warehouse, where Chen Chu was unleashing a barrage of kicks on the heavy bag. "My strength is increasing so fast that I'm losing control. No wonder I didn't dare go to Enning Naxon's house. I was afraid I'd crush her sofa to pieces the moment I sat down." He recalled her well-intentioned invitation from earlier. "Boss, how about coming upstairs for a cup of tea?" And his own measured reply. "No need, I have some business to attend to later." His expression shifted, thinking to himself, "I don't even dare to have intimate contact. What if I accidentally crush her bones? What would I do then?" The next day, he stood in front of a magnificent villa. The real estate agent was pitching hard. "Mr. Chen, this is villa number 88. Total area of 560 square meters, front yard 70 square meters, backyard over 200 square meters, and an 80 square meter swimming pool." He enthusiastically gave the quote. "If you pay in full, the owner will include all the furniture worth over 1,000,000 yuan. The total is 34 million yuan. Chen Chu held his phone, bargaining decisively. 25 million. If yes, I'll close the deal right now." Suddenly, a terrified scream erupted from the other end of the line. "Boss, there's a monster, save us." On a windy rooftop, Huang Junfeng and Nangong Jian were quietly observing the city. Junfeng leaned his hands on the railing. "Captain, there hasn't been any unusual news since last night. The polluted one is indeed dead, but it's very bizarre. It was in a state of hollowification. That kind of power can't be used to kill. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to do anything to it." He suggested, "How about we stay and investigate a bit more? We can take in the sights of this bustling city while we're at it." Nangong Jian crossed his arms, looking down at the crowd. "If you have time, focus on your cultivation. Otherwise, when the apocalypse hits, you'll be nothing but ash." Junfeng was shocked. "Apocalypse, how could that happen?" Nangong Jian slowly explained. "The professors predict that the upcoming spatial fluctuations will be over a dozen times stronger than they were 20 years ago. It is urgent that we comprehensively improve our strength in preparation for that day." He continued with an ironclad voice. "Only then can we live up to the nation's efforts in nurturing us." Deep underwater, Chen Chu's clone had found a chest of pure gold. "Finally found something of value. It's just a pity I was a bit too rough digging through the sand earlier and broke quite a few precious porcelain pieces." He scrolled through his phone, comparing the values of the antiques he had found. Chen Chu felt both ecstatic and regretful. "I hit the jackpot. This Song Dynasty pottery is worth at least a few million yuan, maybe even tens of millions. Too bad I accidentally broke quite a bit. Calculated out, I've lost hundreds of millions of yuan in damages, sigh." Suddenly, a loud argument interrupted his train of thought. "Hey, where are you touching? When did I touch you? Which eye of yours saw it? Don't go spitting venom and making false accusations." The guy flashed a sleazy smile. "But since you already said I touched you, I might as well actually touch you to make up for it, right?" Another person yelled indignantly. "Have you no shame? I saw the whole thing happen," he arrogantly shouted back. "So what if you saw it? If you've got the guts, come over here and hit me." Chen Chu casually strolled over under the girl's astonished gaze, smiling. "Interesting. I've lived this long and have never seen anyone so arrogant." Seeing him approach, the guy wasn't scared at all. Instead, he laughed defiantly. "Then today's an eye-opener for you. You got a problem with it? If you got a problem, come hit me." Jai Hui laughed arrogantly, his face completely devoid of fear, loudly challenging the towering Chen Chu advancing toward him. "If you've got the balls, come hit me." truly a hot-headed punk who was all bark and no bite. He coldly cracked his knuckles together, producing a crisp popping sound, then turned to ask Yingsu, "Does your store have security cameras installed?" Catching his drift, she quickly reached for the outlet and decisively yanked the power cord out. Yingsu feigned tears welling up in her eyes, still holding the disconnected cord, putting on a highly convincing act. "Oh no, our security cameras just happened to break down." Chen Chu smirked slightly, revealing a highly satisfied smile. Witnessing this scene, Jiahui was scared out of his wits, his limbs flailing as he realized an ominous fate was upon him. A sharp, resounding smack tore through the air. The 1,000-pound slap landed squarely on his face, leaving a vivid red handprint. He collapsed, foaming white at the mouth in agony. Chen Chu casually flicked his wrist, standing and watching Jiahui lie motionless on the ground like a soulless corpse. He looked at him with utter contempt. "I really didn't expect that in this day and age there'd still be people actively seeking death. Absolutely ridiculous." At an abandoned house situated right next to the harbor, Chen Chu lounged on a chair, listening to the system report. +10 lightning control EXP, +1 spirit point. He pondered deeply. Human life is inherently short. Compared to the stars that exist for millions of years, a 100-year mortal lifetime is nothing but the blink of an eye. A resolute glint suddenly flashed in his eyes. "One day, I will shatter the cycle of life and death with my own hands." The next morning, Chen Chu stood next to his luxury supercar, strictly instructing Yu Ling. "Make time to study more accounting books. From now on, you'll be in charge of all the company's finances. I'll double your salary." She shyly scratched her head and hurriedly replied, "Yes, understood, boss." Yu Ling cautiously asked, "So, boss, where are we heading next?" He smiled mysteriously, "To sell some precious goods." Mr. Gao held a string of beads in his hand, smiling respectfully as he introduced himself. "My surname is Gao. I'm the owner of this antique shop." Chen Chu pointed at the briefcase Yu Ling was holding. "Mr. Gao, please appraise these precious plates for me," he replied politely. "Please follow me upstairs. It'll be more convenient for us to discuss." When the briefcase was opened, it revealed an incredibly exquisite antique plate inside. Mr. Gao gently touched the surface of the plate, then brought a finger to his mouth to taste it, analyzing. "It has the signature salty taste of the ocean, definitely freshly salvaged goods." He looked at Chen Chu and explained, "Young man, this is indeed authentic, but it originally belongs to a complete set. You only have a single piece, its value will be vastly reduced." He casually adjusted his hair, replying calmly, "It was indeed a full set, but there was a heavy collision during the salvage operation that shattered the rest. Sadly, this is the only intact piece left." He stood up looking troubled. "If that's the case, you put me in a difficult spot. If it's just a single piece, the absolute highest we can offer is 4.5 million yuan. He pulled the briefcase back toward himself, answering briefly, "All right, let me consider it." Out on the street, Yu Ling was leisurely sipping water, commenting, "Boss, we've visited many shops, but it seems this Mr. Gao is the most practical one." Chen Chu casually munched on a candied hawthorn stick and replied, "Practical? Well, he actually did offer the highest price. Guess I'll just sell it to him." He suddenly fell deep in thought, recalling that moment. But there was something off about his eyes. That guy is definitely bad news. In the living room of a lavish villa, Du Hong had his back turned, his voice full of authority. "Are you saying you found clues about the sunken ship?" Mr. Gao smiled smugly, presenting the antique plate. "Look here, there's an official seal engraved on this plate. This is the exact shipment we've been desperately searching for. Boss, a young guy brought this in to sell. He definitely holds crucial intel." Du Hong remained still, issuing an ironclad order. "Notify Fox immediately. Within half an hour, I want this guy's complete personal profile." Just a few minutes later, Mr. Gao's phone pinged with a message notification. He read it out loud, word for word. "An ordinary college student who suddenly got 3 million yuan to buy a luxury car and even went out to sea with Li Tianrui. Boss, should we reach out and cooperate with the person backing him?" He interlaced his fingers, highly amused. Cooperate. Recalling the transaction, Mr. Gao had smiled and reminded him, "Fill in your information here. You'll need it for future transactions or auctions." He casually replied, "Sure." Chen Chu lay sprawled on his bed, arms behind his head, lost in thought. Today's transaction went suspiciously smoothly. I just get the feeling that shop owner Gao is up to something shady. I hope he isn't stupid enough to mess with me. The next day, he stood in the elevator, calculating internally. Forget it, I'll just go to school and see. After digesting the sea snake's essence, my muscle density and strength are 50 to 60 times that of a normal person. I wonder if I can withstand bullets yet. The elevator dinged open, revealing the silhouette of a highly dangerous stranger. He closed in on Chen Chu, startling him, a chill running down his spine. Instantly, the dark muzzle of a gun was pointed menacingly squarely at his back. The car sped down the road. Inside, he feigned terror, clutching his head and screaming at the kidnappers. "Where are you taking me? I don't recall offending anyone." The kidnapper snapped coldly. "Taking you to see someone. If you know what's good for you, behave." They led Chen Chu to a deserted location, and one of them called out loudly, "Boss, we brought the guy." Chen Rai stepped out with a ferocious face. "Let me see what kind of guy dares to make me wait half the day like this." Chen Chu suddenly rubbed his head smugly, his eyes darting around to observe his surroundings. "Why? Are there only a few of you guys here?" The kidnapper from earlier was stunned. "This kid was so terrified a minute ago. How is he so calm now? It feels so weird. He's terrifyingly calm." Chen Rai furiously roared, "What are you standing around for? Take him out." One guy immediately fired his gun at Chen Chu, but he had already moved at an unfathomably fast speed. He unleashed a thunderous kick on the guy, sending the gun flying high into the air. His long, agile fingers snatched the gun out of midair with lightning speed. The lackeys instantly raised their guns and aimed them at Chen Chu, roaring a warning. "Kid, drop the gun, you hear me?" The boss said, "Put the gun down right now." Chen Rai gritted his teeth and sneered. "You only have one gun, but I have dozens of guns right here. Besides, your gun only has one bullet left. You're completely surrounded." Chen Chu replied calmly, "Do you guys still not see the situation clearly? I'm not surrounded. It's you guys who are surrounded by me." His eyes suddenly turned razor-sharp, accompanied by an utterly confident smile. "Tell me who's the mastermind backing you? Spill it, and I'll grant you a quick and clean death." Gunshots rang out wildly, a barrage of bullets flying relentlessly forward. Chen Rai took a bullet, falling backward amidst the frantic screams of his lackeys. "Boss!" The thugs fired back frantically, gritting their teeth and roaring. "His gun is out of ammo. Charge in and kill him." Chen Chu coldly tossed the gun into the air. Instantly, his palm glowed brilliantly. Inside that fiery palm, a tiny bullet was nestled snugly, unable to advance even an inch further. The gangsters were absolutely terrified, faces drained of blood. "What the hell? How can he? My God, a monster. He's a literal monster. He just caught a bullet barehanded." He smirked in amusement, leisurely flicking his hand at them, marveling internally. "So, I've already reached a realm this powerful." Inside the gloomy warehouse, ear-piercing, tragic screams echoed out. After the battle, Chen Chu stood towering, his icy voice full of threat. "Spill it, who sent you here?" The terrified thug stammered his confession. It's Chairman Du Hong of Longhua Group. The antique shop on the street belongs to him too. He's currently at the Guanshan Villa on 3rd Street. He indifferently walked over to Chen Rai's corpse and coldly fished a phone out of his pocket. Chen Chu dialed the number, his voice tinged with a subtly mocking laugh. "This is Chen Chu. Du Hong, right? Tonight I'll pay you a personal visit." The call ended. Du Hong's face darkened, and old Gao beside him was equally furious. "Daring to demand a whole 2 million yuan, this brat sure talks big," Du Hong ordered with a hardened face. "Go prepare immediately. 2 million yuan is enough to buy over a dozen lives. Let's see if he has the guts to walk away with that money." A supercar sped down the road, tearing through the wind. Chen Chu was running right behind it, his speed so fast he was nothing but a blur, assessing. "My current speed and constitution have reached the 120 ms threshold." At Du Hong's villa, a massive squad of bodyguards stood on strict guard, ready for battle. Old Gao asked nervously, "Boss, you think that kid was just bluffing and won't dare to show up?" Du Hong growled an explanation. "They managed to easily wipe out the Black Tiger Group and their 3 guns. These people are absolutely not simple." His face displayed extreme viciousness. "I've nurtured so many gunmen and dozens of loyal subordinates. Now it's time for them to prove their worth." Suddenly, the entire area was plunged into pitch-black darkness, and the bodyguards instantly fell into a state of high alert mixed with extreme terror. Du Hong's face darkened as the bodyguards frantically communicated over their radios. Booting up the emergency generator, the front gate camera is down, the front door too. The enemy's speed is terrifying. He flew into a rage, veins popping on his face, screaming like a madman. No matter who it is, as soon as they charge in, open fire, shoot to kill. Out in the hallway, horrifying sounds of impact echoed continuously, accompanied by countless bodyguards lying motionless all over the floor. In front of the room's door, a steady knocking sound rang out. The bodyguards instantly aimed their guns, fingers ready on the triggers. The door slowly opened in suffocating silence. Du Hong and Old Gao simultaneously barked in ironclad order, "Fire!" Chen Chu lunged like a bolt of lightning, knocking the bodyguards away in a split second, then slowly walked forward, towering right in front of him. Du Hong froze, his back pressed tightly against his chair, stammering, "As expected, you are an awakened one." He suddenly stood up, spreading his hands to compromise. 500 million. Mr. Chen, I'll pay 500 million to buy back both of our lives, deal. His face didn't show a single ripple of emotion as he casually replied, "That is indeed a tempting number, but since too many people have already died, I can't let you two live. Tell me about the awakened ones, and I'll give you both a quick and clean death." His face showed extreme terror, sweat pouring down like a waterfall. Du Hong recounted the past with a tremble. In '99 at Hushan Town, Old Gao and I, along with a dozen brothers, went to fight for turf. Suddenly, a man entirely made of fire fell from the sky, and in a single instant, Hushan Town was reduced to a sea of fire. He stood looking out toward the lake, speaking in a deep voice. The next day, that place turned into a vast lake. The locals call it Xian Lake. He fell deep in thought, musing, "Do awakened ones possess such massive power? No wonder the world hasn't been peaceful lately." Suddenly, Du Hong aimed his gun at Chen Chu and roared, "Go to hell, you brat!" Instantly, he lunged forward at the speed of light, unleashing a 1,000-pound punch into Old Gao's and Du Hong's faces, thinking to himself, "In critical moments, everyone is an enemy. Regardless of how much wealth you hold, in my eyes, you're all no different from bugs." The police force arrived at the scene, locking down the mess. A total of 31 bodies, including the president of the Longhua group. Guan pondered, "If I'm not mistaken, the perpetrator is definitely Chen Chu. He is probably also the one who massacred that group in the Hongqiu forest." Recalling Chen Chu's file, he predicted with deep concern, "The alien domain is fluctuating bizarrely. The second impact is coming soon. I originally planned to grant him the enhanced title to enter the alien domain." Guan's eyes clearly showed disappointment. But he is too cold-blooded and ruthless. The path he is walking has completely strayed. On a rotting wooden table, a food tray lay completely bare. At the harbor warehouse, Chen Chu glanced over and analyzed. "The half-roast chicken I saved has disappeared, and it left behind filthy grease marks. It seems the thing that snuck in here last night isn't exactly normal." The system reported, "Gain 67 evolution points plus 67 stamina points." Beneath the surface, the iguana was gnawing on its meal, its eyes staring deep into the bottom. "There's still something further down. Let's go take a look." At a depth of 1,200 m on the seabed, this place appeared to be an underwater volcanic crater. The terrifying, crushing pressure made him start feeling uncomfortable. Silence returned to the deserted harbor warehouse. A hand flickered in and out of sight, stealthily grabbing the bag of roast chicken, about to flee. Chen Chu shot a glance at the sneaking figure and said coldly, "You're not getting away." He dashed forward like a tornado, closing in on the target. Just as Chen Chu reached out to touch it, an explosion of fine, thick smoke erupted, obscuring his vision. He stopped dead in his tracks, stunned. "There's nothing here." It vanished without a sound. What kind of ability is this? A dimensional rift, a portal to an alien world, or something else? His footsteps halted in the silent void. His body stood isolated in the darkness as the system chimed a warning. "Warning! Your body is being invaded by polluted energy." The system continued to report. "Due to the massive vital energy in your body, an immunity has been generated. However, in 5 hours, the resistance within your body will be completely destroyed." Chen Chu set foot in a strange land, sighing softly. This place is truly a completely different world. Before his eyes appeared a door radiating blinding light, with a mysterious, blurry silhouette faintly visible. Suddenly, a deformed, skeletal monster with glowing red eyes frantically charged to attack. Chen Chu immediately took a stance, his cold eyes analyzing. A jiangshi, or what the hell kind of monster are you? He unleashed a powerful punch, shattering the demon corpse and making it vanish instantly. The system chimed. You have slain an inferior demon corpse, gained 2 attribute points. Above the towering door hung a bizarre sign. Welcome to Hushin Town. Chen Chu walked through the door, cautiously observing the ruins around him. Hushin Town. The town that disappeared overnight, which Du Hong mentioned, is this place. He muttered thoughtfully. So Hushin Town wasn't destroyed, it was transported to another dimension. All right, I should head back for now. This place is hiding far too much lethal danger. Hiding high up in a tree branch, Zixi quietly watched Chen Chu's retreating back with probing eyes. The little girl was furious, gritting her teeth and biting the object in her hands to pieces in a sheer frenzy. Chen Chu checked the power he just obtained. 2 attribute points, put it all into enhancing the lightning ability. The system announced. Plus 20 lightning control EXP plus 2 spirit points. Back home, he sat down at his computer to search for info. Hushin Town collapse, 180 missing, 30,000 evacuated. He pieced it together. Over 30,000 people vanished along with that town. If all of them turned into demon corpses, then this is a massive goldmine for attribute points. Chen Chu picked up his phone to call an acquaintance. Hey, Mr. Lee, help me investigate where the evacuees from Hushin Town 20 years ago are now. The other end replied. Hushin Town? Got it, I'll have the results for you tomorrow. He met with Director Lee and gave a specific request. I need a small armored room and a 2-meter-long greatsword. It has to be extremely thick, heavy, and razor-sharp. Mr. Lee sweated bullets, forcing a smile. Boss Chen, I'm afraid that's a bit difficult. Weapons of that size fall under state-regulated items. Chen Chu held up 2 fingers, his face displaying a bizarre sincerity that confused Boss Lee. Director Lee, think about it. Would anyone really carry a 2-meter-long sword weighing hundreds of kilos just to go assault someone? He turned his back, rubbing his chin and calculating. Demon corpses are mutated creatures. It's highly likely they carry infectious pathogens. Besides the sword and the iron room, get me a suit of alloy armor as well. At the Seafood Hotel, Mr. Lee presented the investigation results over the phone. The information regarding the Hushin Town survivors is a complete mess. The government says everything is fine, but when I dug deeper, I found out. There's basically no actual information at all. Chen Chu, who was driving, chuckled coldly. Just as I predicted, those 30,000 people were all buried alive in that underground bunker. In his iguana form, he was devouring prey. Not a bad haul today, hunted over 40 of them. Just 300 more evolution points and I can complete the 3rd evolution. He parked his car in front of a luxurious manor, a majestic multi-story piece of architecture. The agent introduced, This is the owner of the villa, Miss Lin King. She smiled politely. Boss Chen certainly has a good eye for people. He casually put on his sunglasses, pointing at the pile of cash beside him. The money is all here. Once Miss Lin finishes verifying it, we can process the paperwork immediately. She was shocked. Over 20 million in cold hard cash. The system continuously chimed. Gained 20 evolution points. Evolution progress has reached its limit. Would you like to begin evolving now? At a depth of 1,500 meters underwater, the iguana clone decisively answered. Evolve. The monster curled itself up within a blazing halo of almighty power. He flashed a demonic smile, staring at his hands which were radiating scorching energy. Chen Chu focused his senses. Within a 100-meter radius, even the sound of ants crawling or insects carrying food is crystal clear. His body glowed brilliantly to scan his surroundings. Even at a 300-meter range, I can still hear the security guards complaining. My strength has increased leaps and bounds, yet I can still control it perfectly. I've broken through to the Earth realm, Constitution hit the 1,000 mark, and Spirit also rose to 200. He opened his eyes to check the system panel. Talents, Water Element Affinity, Thunderfire Breath, Lightning Control. Chen Chu pondered. Thunderfire Breath. That's definitely the new ability from that mutated tiger-headed fish. He transformed back into the iguana and exclaimed in awe. My body is 40 meters long now. This isn't a giant iguana anymore, this is literally a real-life Godzilla. He tried breathing out a plume of fire but shook his head slightly. My current energy is still too low. the power of Thunderfire breath is still quite mediocre. He looked up, catching sight of glowing eyes amidst the darkness of the deep abyss. Down there, there's a big guy lurking. Chen Chu roughly wrenched the monster's jaws open with his hands to inspect. This guy's bite could crush the deck of a battleship. Its strength isn't bad at all. He coldly concluded, but it only stops at not bad. Chen Chu clamped down on his prey. This tiger-headed fish brought in over 2,000 evolution points and contains a massive heat source. This cave is the territory it used to rule. He swallowed the fish whole, his eyes suddenly widening in shock. Before his eyes was the massive fossilized skeleton of an ancient creature. He was stunned. Terrifying, this pressure makes me instinctively tremble. Inside that skull, there seems to be something making the energy inside me boil. The system chimed. Ancient atom detected. Would you like to absorb it? He replied decisively. Absorb. Transo's entire body emitted a brilliant fiery glow. The system continuously reported. Successfully absorbed ancient atom, beginning super evolution, acquired the ability of the ancient crimson flame Behemoth, plus 10 crimson flame points. Chen Chu opened his mouth wide as energy gathered into a massive, highly intimidating fireball. He unleashed a beam of destructive energy, creating an explosion that shook the entire ocean area. Looking at the dispersing dust and smoke, he marveled. The power is terrifying. Just one breath is enough to wipe a small island off the map. Returning to his human form in the warehouse, Chen Chu donned his armor and wielded the greatsword, his aura blazing. This 200 caddy sword feels just right in my hand. Let's call it the heaven-shattering Overlord sword. This Titan armor is also incredibly flexible. He smiled with absolute confidence. After evolving, my chi sense has already detected the presence of that little girl. Chen Chu glanced at Zixi hiding behind the door, thinking, I didn't expect it to be a child. Is she the only survivor who awakened a superpower, or is she actually a demon herself? Looking at the girl's silhouette and the horde of entities ahead, he casually spoke up. Night has fallen, Hushan Town is getting lively. He dashed forward like a tornado, slicing down a demon corpse. The system reported. Demon corpse slain, gained 5 attribute points. He got excited. Use these points to enhance the heaven-shattering Overlord sword. The system requested a selection. Durability, sharpness, armor-piercing, demon bane, or elemental enhancement, he ordered. 3 points into durability, 2 points into sharpness. He continued charging like a cyclone. Right behind him, a red-eyed demon corpse was roaring and giving chase. Chen Chu threw a disdainful glance, evaluating. You're fast, but still not enough. Chen Chu rested the heavy sword on his shoulder, his cold eyes scanning the reality around him. The system voice chimed dryly. You have slain a Z-tier skeleton zombie, gained 10 attribute points. Your armor enhancement has reached 15 durability, officially unlocking the level 1 damage reflection attribute. He pondered his next move. Put 5 attribute points into the armor's durability and dump the remaining 5 points all into the Overlord sword's sharpness. Suddenly, his intuition warned him that something was off. He narrowed his eyes and looked back with high vigilance. Instantly, Chen Chu lunged forward, his figure flashing by like a bolt of lightning tearing through the night. The system relentlessly reported. You have slain a Z-tier violent ape zombie, gained 12 attribute points. Slain a Z-tier cloth hand zombie, gained 10 attribute points. Slain a Z-tier snake form zombie, gained 10 attribute points. He spun and landed perfectly on the ground, his stance incredibly steady. A massive entity suddenly appeared with eerie glowing red eyes. He analyzed coldly. Another big guy? Fine then, attribute points have been allocated, time to test them out. The giant monster roared furiously, launching a lightning-fast attack at him. Chen Chu casually sidestepped the strike, marveling internally. Terrifying power, it can be considered on par with me. But your speed is way too slow, I don't have time to play with you anymore. With that, he leaped high into the air and swung his sword in a devastating, fatal slash. The system chimed. You have slain a level 5 armored zombie, gained 100 attribute points. Demon armor element detected, you can spend 10 points to extract it. Chen Chu suddenly realized. So it's level 5. No wonder its attack and defense were so terrifying, it took over a dozen slashes to finish it off. Right now, I still lack techniques capable of taking the enemy's life in a single strike. From behind the old wooden door came frantic screams. "Run! Run away quickly!" Inside was Zixi, cowering in fear. She was the same girl who stole his roast chicken, yet now she was worriedly telling him to run. Looking into those eyes, he knew she had no malicious intent. Chen Chu approached and gently patted her head. "Your name is Zixi, right? I'm Chen Chu. From now on, you'll be my little sister and I'll protect you. Let's go, Zixi, I'll take you out to buy new clothes." Sitting in the car, he asked in a low voice, "Zixi, what exactly is that black tide flooding the ground out there?" The little girl stammered, trembling. "It's the black tide. I don't know what's inside it either, but it's extremely dangerous." Zixi was now wearing a pristine new dress, her long hair cascading down softly. Chen Chu smiled and pointed at the table filled with food. The girl's eyes lit up and she ran over joyfully. "The food's here, come eat." The system panel popped up. Name, Chen Chu. Level, Earth Realm. Constitution, 1000 plus. Spirit, 200 plus. Cultivation, Y-Gang Beginner, EXP 780-1000. Chi Sense Beginner, EXP 640-1000. Skills, Beng Quan Beginner, EXP 105-500. Cloud Ascending Step Intermediate, EXP 580-1000. Snap Kicking Intermediate, EXP 461-1000. Abilities, Lightning Control Beginner, 401-0000. Crimson Ape, 931-0000. Attribute Points, 80. Elemental Inventory, Demon Armor 1 unit. Weapon, Heaven-Shattering Overlord Sword, Durability plus 13, Sharpness plus 7, Armor Piercing plus 10. Chen Chu leisurely chewed his food while observing. Your Y-Gang has been enhanced, EXP plus 800. Y-Gang breaks through to intermediate body-tempered Constitution plus 30. He thought to himself. During the last battle, wrapping my entire body in Y-Gang combined with the explosive power of the Crimson Ape created immense destructive force. That's definitely my ultimate move. Dump all 80 attribute points into enhancing Y-Gang. Chen Chu's arms suddenly erupted into blazing flames, to the jaw-dropping shock of Zixi. It broke through to intermediate. My power has now increased by at least 3 times. Inside a Enning University lecture hall, a tense discussion was taking place among the Special Bureau group. Old Li presented solemnly, "This training camp is highly special. I heard that after graduating, the lowest rank given will be second lieutenant." Su Tian asked in shock. "Second lieutenant rank?" Enning Zai wondered. "Guys, do you think we've been targeted by some secret government agency?" Jiahao pushed the door open and announced, "That's right, the city has officially established a special division. After training, you will receive the rank of second lieutenant, but it comes with countless dangerous missions. Do you guys choose to join or quit?" Everyone replied in unison with absolute resolve. "I choose to join." Back in the warehouse, Chen Chu was still relentlessly pushing himself in training without a pause. A powerful punch that tore through space was thrown, accompanied by a shout. Y-Gang combined with the explosive Crimson Flame power. This is my ultimate killer move. This single punch carries a weight of at least 150 tons. I'll call it Absolute Flame. Exhausted, he sat down hard on the ground, panting heavily. Throwing 100 punches is my body's absolute limit. If I run into that armored zombie again right now, I could definitely take it down in just 3 punches. A panoramic view of the tranquil Enning University campus appeared. Enning Zai looked out the window and sighed softly. "That guy is so handsome." Su Tian rested his head on his arms, casually replying, "Looking at that expensive car, you can tell he's just some playboy rich kid." Sitting in the car, Roya expressed her disagreement. "Don't talk about him like that," Old Li teased. "Roya, why are you defending him so fiercely?" Jiahao casually drove while answering. "Because a month ago, he was the one who saved Lin Roya from 4 kidnappers." Su Tian was stunned. That gigolo-looking guy defeated 4 kidnappers. Old Li was also shocked. Those kidnappers were ruthless killers who wouldn't blink at murder. Enning Zai looked at him with sheer admiration. Is he really that strong? Chen Chu and Zixi were leisurely resting on a park bench. But deep underwater, he, in his iguana form, was coldly glaring up at the yacht above. Chen Chu looked displeased. So it's a kangaroo country yacht with a pirate style. No wonder it looks so small. Perfect timing to use it as a test for my dorsal fin blades. Inside the yacht, the crew descended into chaos. Sonar detected a massive object approaching at a depth of 100 meters. It's heading straight for us at incredible speed. This is bad, brace for impact. Chen Chu slashed his razor-sharp claws, tearing the ship's hull to shreds, causing the inside to shake violently. Everyone screamed in panic. The two rear compartments are severely damaged, water is flooding in. The sonar system is completely down too. The captain roared his orders. Close the watertight bulkheads immediately. Activate multi-beam echo sounder, lock onto the target, and map the surrounding topography right now. A crew member reported tremulously, "Sir, it's an elongated creature about 40 meters long, even bigger than a blue whale. The hull is taking on massive amounts of water, but it still hasn't stopped its attack." The captain was in utter disbelief. How can there be a creature that huge? Even blue whales max out at 30 meters. Hurry, seal the rear compartments and surface immediately. Fire the torpedoes, max speed to the surface. Watching the torpedo tearing through the water toward him, Chen Chu smirked arrogantly to himself. Here it comes. He swam away at terrifying speed, his eyes showing clear disdain. My speed reaches 200 km/h. Your torpedoes can't catch me. The real show begins now. Another torpedo was quickly fired in succession. Chen Chu maneuvered and closed the gap, swimming right alongside the speeding torpedo. An earth-shattering explosion erupted right beneath the deep blue sea. Witnessing that destructive power, Chen Chu frowned slightly in discomfort. The power of a torpedo still makes me feel very uncomfortable. A direct hit would definitely cause severe injuries. Looks like I need to increase my strength even faster. At a dazzling evening gala, a female dancer was performing incredibly fluid and mesmerizing dance moves. The audience couldn't stop praising her. That's the solo Southern Peacock Dance by the new foreign languages student, Sidu Tianchen, one of our school's new top 4 campus belles. Chen Chu looked up, his eyes bright with surprise. Her again? Zixi next to him also cheered happily. She's so beautiful, bro. By now, Tianchen had changed into a pristine, sheer white dress, cleverly accentuating her hot and seductive curves. From the shadows behind her, a stranger's feet quietly and mysteriously approached her. A brown-haired guy stepped up, tightly gripping a vibrant bouquet of roses, and poured out sweet words. Tianchen, I've been infatuated with you since the first time we met. Be my girlfriend. She spun around, startled, while the audience below booed in unison with pure dissatisfaction. What the hell? Stop putting on your own little play. What era is this to still pull this stunt? Get lost and save us the cringe. Tianchen looked out at the crowd, then gently delivered her rejection. Senior, it seems the audience here doesn't support you at all. Besides, I really don't like you. Right after the gala ended, she took the initiative to approach Chen Chu. Senior, do you still remember me? Everyone around them was stunned. Look, the campus belle was waiting for him. Holding Zixi's hand, his expression shifted slightly upon seeing her. Her eyes gazed at him with absolute infatuation. Last month, you were the one who called the cops to save a drugged girl. He answered casually. Ah, rings a bell. Did you need something from me? Tianchen suddenly grew shy, her cheeks flushing pink as she hesitated. Well, actually. Seeing her stammering, Chen Chu scratched his head and decisively turned his back. If it's nothing important, I'm heading out. Bye. Watching his back fade into the distance, she sighed softly. That supercar costs over 2 million, and the latest Gucci shoes on his feet are over 35,000 yuan. He's a genuine rich kid, nothing like that Wei Zian HMPH. The scene shifted. Chen Chu was now standing majestically before a dark, abyssal cave. He smiled with great satisfaction. According to Zixi, when the black tide hits, you have to find a cave to hide in immediately, because everything on the surface gets wiped out. This cave is 30 meters deep and about 5 meters wide, should be decent enough. The system chimed a notification. Level 2 mutated bone spear zombie slain, gained 20 attribute points. Level 3 mutated flame zombie slain, gained 20 attribute points. He glanced at the scorched corpse of the flame zombie, evaluating internally. Are these zombies starting to awaken fire abilities too? This scorching, burning sensation is super annoying. System, can you increase the magic resistance on my armor? The system responded instantly. Consumed 10 attribute points. Alloy armor fused with demon armor materials, breaking through to extraordinary quality. Chen Chu brushed his hand over the monster's corpse, his eyes cold and sharp. Extraordinary grade demon armor. Now I'm practically immune to fire. At this moment, his clone was gazing out into the distant ocean. The deep Pacific waters are too sparse. Finding mutated creatures is way too hard. Might as well raid a human fish farm and see. At a secluded bay, he had gathered a massive haul. 20 high-quality fish like this is worth half a day of grueling hunting. Back on his side, Chen Chu was also struggling to block a storm of attacks. What terrifying speed, it almost feels like it broke the sound barrier. The zombie lunged furiously with a starving, crazed look. The smell of human flesh, so fresh and delicious. He was astonished by the enemy's shifting blade trajectories. I didn't expect this zombie's swordsmanship to be this exquisite. Mid-swing, with just a slight quiver of the arm, the blade's direction changes incredibly lethally. He crouched slightly low, his eyes flashing with murderous intent. I've learned it. Time to end this here. Chen Chu suddenly sprang up, channeling all his power into his arm, swinging his sword for a thunderous slash at his opponent. Suddenly, from the zombie's chest, emerged a bizarre face wearing a sinister smile. That face opened its mouth and blew out a blazing red fire snake, swallowing him whole. However, he remained completely unharmed, staring coldly right at it. Absolute flame. That eerie face froze, its eyes rolling back in sheer terror. As the enemy watched in shock, he dashed forward like lightning, claiming the zombie's life with a single strike. The system reported, Level 5 Flame Zombie slain, gained 100 attribute points. Molten element detected, spend 10 attribute points to extract. Chen Chu was surprised. Molten element. The zombie's heart clung tightly to the sword. The system announced, Heaven-shattering Overlord sword has fused with demonic materials, officially breaking through to extraordinary quality. Right after enhancing it, he tested its power. With a single slash, space itself seemed to crack open, leaving a deep rift. Chen Chu marveled at the result. To think I could convert crimson flame and lightning power into such a potent external energy. On the other side of the ruined town, he quietly closed in on a giant spider zombie. He calculated internally, a spider-shaped zombie? Forget it, this forest is eerily silent. It's best to retreat for now. Back at the warehouse, he had changed into his casual clothes and walked out. Zixi looked at him, stammering word by word, Bro, Chen Chu, let me close the door for you. Okay. Chen Chu was incredibly surprised. Zixi can close that invisible door? That requires extremely high-level spatial abilities. She's far more mysterious than I thought. Closing it is good, keeps the zombies from swarming out while I'm away. The system panel popped up. Inventory space detected. 10 attribute points for 10 cubic meters. Would you like to activate? He answered calmly. Activate. He stowed his sword away into the void. Perfect timing. I was just about to complain how inconvenient carrying this sword around was, and the system gave me this. His clone was munching on prey at the bottom of the sea. In just 3 short hours, its body grew another 5 meters, raking in over 500 evolution points. This fish farm is an absolute goldmine. Above the surface, 2 workers on a boat were shining flashlights over a lake full of fish corpses. Yamada-san, what's wrong with that tuna? So weird, the oxygen supply is full. One of them suddenly screamed in terror. Oh crap, the sea has been dyed red with blood, the fish are being slaughtered. All of a sudden, a giant tail whipped violently from beneath the water, obliterating the boat and launching both men high into the air. At the villa, Chen Chu clenched his fists. I have over 100 attribute points left. Time for a comprehensive upgrade. The system chimed. Consumed 40 points to enhance Chi Sense, broke through to intermediate. Consumed 60 points to enhance snap kicking, broke through to advanced, renamed to moonwalk. He sprang high into the sky, closing his eyes to feel it. The range of my Chi Sense has expanded from 100 meters to a whole mile. Moonwalk even lets me walk on air for short periods. The urgent news broadcast announced, the city of Tesla in northern Europe has been enveloped by a terrifying black fog covering over 500 km. Over 50 people have gone missing. Chen Chu listened to the news while attentively brushing Zixi's hair. He looked up in doubt. Black fog? Sounds a lot like the black tide at Hushin Town. It seems the peace of this world won't last much longer. In the Okasho Sea, a nuclear submarine was stealthily probing the deep seabed. Inside, a blond guy stood with his hands on his hips and asked, Sugimoto-san, has Professor Kant's research made any new progress? Sugimoto answered confidently. The professor has successfully extracted the super factor from behemoths and has even found a way to revive them. The lion-faced guy was shocked. Super factor? You mean we can mass-produce super soldiers? He boasted. Not just that, we can even control legendary super behemoths. The submarine surfaced, and they ventured deep into an icy cave. Professor, the miniature nuclear reactor has been delivered. The old professor smiled in satisfaction. Good, we're almost at the excavation site. Appearing before them was the massive corpse of a behemoth with an ancient sword pierced through its stomach, imprisoned inside a colossal glass enclosure. They frantically installed an electrical ring around the giant behemoth's body. From inside the enclosure, shouts rang out. "Electrical ring installation complete," another immediately reported. "Nuclear power source fully connected." The old professor looked up proudly and ordered, "Inject the nuclear energy directly into the behemoth's body. It's about to be revived. It's very intelligent. It knows full well this electrical ring can end its life, so it'll definitely submit to our control." Sugimoto walked up from behind, kissing up to him. "Professor Kant, you are truly a magnificent genius. Your stature has already surpassed Einstein." The behemoth began to show its first reactions, its massive muscles twitching menacingly. Kant cheered like a madman. "It's a success. The behemoth is coming back to life." They were so busy celebrating that they completely failed to sense the Grim Reaper approaching. From afar, Chen Chu's clone was boiling with rage. These scumbags dare to revive a behemoth. They deserve to die. With that thought, he stomped his foot hard, the terrifying force causing the ground to quake violently. His sudden appearance scared the living daylights out of everyone present. "It's a behemoth. Everyone listen to my command, hold it off at all costs, or we're all dead meat. Snipers, open fire now." Professor Kant ordered in a panic. "Sugimoto, hurry up, retreat to the sub." The soldiers below fired wildly and continuously at him. One even recklessly threw a grenade to stop his advance. Standing amidst a hail of bullets and bombs, he remained completely unmoving, his razor-sharp eyes instantly locking onto the three guys trying to flee below. The iguana lifted its foot, terrifying Sugimoto, his heart hammering in pure horror. His eyes remained looking down at the crowd below with the utmost contempt. Suddenly, he slightly closed his eyes and crouched low, preparing to unleash his power. The soldiers howled in despair. "Those are 24 armor-piercing rounds, and missiles too. This gear is enough to start a small war. Why isn't it taking any damage?" Chen Chu whipped his tail violently, launching them into the air, mocking them coldly. So the so-called superhumans only have this mediocre level of combat power. With that thought, he flexed and spewed out a blazing fire. The petty soldiers hit by the attack only had time to scream from the burning pain before coughing up blood and dying on the spot. In the distance, Sugimoto and Kant had managed to squeeze into the submarine to escape. He glanced over, his gaze sharp as a scalpel, trying to escape. Chen Chu spun around, blasting a terrifying beam of energy from his mouth that blew the entire submarine to 100 pieces. The massive shockwave caused the behemoth in the enclosure to react more violently than ever. Witnessing the horrific aura radiating before him, he couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. It really woke up. What a disgusting aura. I need to put some distance between us before I finish it off completely. No sooner said than done. He instantly fired a blast of lightning from his mouth. The lightning struck the behemoth's body squarely, making it howl in agony. I just woke up. My flesh and bones aren't tough enough yet. No. The system chimed a notification. Damaged ancient factor detected. Would you like to absorb it? Chen Chu looked at the behemoth's mangled flesh emitting a bizarre, sparkling light and muttered, "Even though it's damaged, I can still use it. All right, absorb." The notification panel popped up constantly. Your clone gained 5 evolution points and 0.5 constitution through resting. Your clone gained 5 evolution points and 0.5 constitution through resting. At a quiet cafe, Chen Chu sat in deep thought. After absorbing the damaged factor, I can actually get stronger just by lying perfectly still. Meanwhile, Zixi was completely engrossed in eating her cake. This is so delicious. Suddenly, the phone on the table buzzed with a new message notification. Sidu Tianchen texted, "Senior, are you free tomorrow? Let's grab a meal together." With a face full of suspicion, he quickly replied, "Sure, I'll come pick you up at 11 a.m. tomorrow." The scene shifted inside the teleportation portal. Chen Chu was executing masterful flips to dodge the slashes from the flying zombies. Sick! These blades! Even an armored tank would probably be ripped to shreds. He sprang up and swung his sword, cleaving the monster in two. Level 4 demon slain, gained 50 attribute points. Hearing this, he felt a bit disappointed. Only level 4, I thought it'd be at least level 5. Then he dashed off to hunt his next target, focusing his senses as he moved. Found it. From afar, a giant worm slithered over and launched a massive attack, forcing him to leap backward to dodge. Chen Chu roared in fury. You dare damage my extraordinary grade demon armor. 50 attribute points, enhanced demon armor right now. He stomped hard on the ground, using the momentum to charge at the giant worm, unleashing a relentless barrage of attacks. However, all of his attacks were completely blocked by a solid energy shield. He was slightly surprised. It even has an energy barrier if that's the case. A brutal zigzag slash was swung out, severing the worm's head from its neck instantly. Level 6 demon slain, gained 200 attribute points. Chen Chu, holding the flaming, lightning crackling sword, began upgrading his stats. 100 attribute points to enhance Wai Zhao, 100 points to enhance Crimson Flame. The sword's flame temperature just skyrocketed from 3,000 degrees straight to 10,000 degrees. With that said, he swung his sword. A burst of blade aura flew far and struck a giant dragonfly right out of the sky. The attack range has reached 30 meters. For these dragonflies, it's one slash, one kill now, haha. The attribute panel appeared clearly. Name, Chen Chu. Level, Earth Realm. Status, Elite Awakened 1, Powerful Ferocious Beast Lord fused with Ancient Factor. Evolution value, 7621000000, alongside thousands of other mysterious abilities. He sat comfortably on his sofa, reviewing his strength. For defense, I have Wai Zhao. For ultimate moves, I have Absolute Flame. For long range, I have Crimson Flame Blade Aura. For perception, I have Chi Sense. And I even possess a highly enchanted demon armor and overlord sword. He looked at the blazing red power swirling in his palm. Next, I need to focus entirely on training Beng Quan, Cloud Ascending Step, and Lightning Control. The next day, Chen Chu drove his supercar to pick up Sidu Tianchen. The students upstairs gossiped endlessly. Isn't that the campus belle, Sidu Tianchen? Even the campus belle can't resist the allure of a supercar, huh? Since when did the atmosphere at Enning Uni get this trashy? Down below, she was smiling brightly at him. Senior, my treat today, what should we eat? He coldly crossed his arms and answered, Let's go eat seafood. At the restaurant, Chen Chu held the menu and ordered decisively. I'll have a 2 kg wild spiny lobster and 2 portions of Balan oysters imported from Country F. The girl started panicking as she looked at the menu. Every dish is so expensive. Ordering all of this will cost over 70,000 yuan. But my budget is only 10,000. This is my entire allowance for the last 3 months. Thinking that, she stammered in embarrassment. Senior, I only brought 10,000 yuan. Can you lend me the rest later? I promise I'll pay you back. He waved his hand dismissively. It's fine, put it on my tab, eat as much as you want. Hearing that, she held her cheeks and looked at him with admiration. You're amazing. I heard you rarely come to school, so it turns out you were busy with your career. A man focusing on his career is definitely the most attractive. Chen Chu smiled modestly. Not exactly. I haven't been coming to school because I was busy killing monsters to level up. I didn't have time to manage the company. Sidu Tianchen was clueless and didn't understand at all. Huh, killing monsters to level up like a video game? Then she quickly leaned over to peek into the tank. Wow, this crab is so huge. His gaze upon the crab suddenly turned cold and lifeless. If the apocalypse truly breaks out, I wonder if this bustling, prosperous city will still be able to exist. At a luxury mall, Tianchen meekly followed behind Chen Chu, walking silently among the glamorous stores. She thought shyly to herself. He said we were going for a stroll after eating. Who knew it would be a stroll around the LV stores? A single meal cost over 80,000 yuan, and casually buying a few outfits will burn through 200 to 300,000. My God, my monthly living expenses are only 2,000. It doesn't even add up to one of his buttons. He unexpectedly grabbed Tianchen's hand, turning his head to say gently, Let's go, let me buy you a few outfits. That action startled her, her heart racing as she wondered, why did he grab my hand? Will he think I'm an easy girl? Oh my God. A while later, the saleswoman stood frozen looking at the mountain of designer clothes piled on the counter, while Chen Chu had one hand in his pocket, wearing a textbook CEO smile. Wrap it all up, swipe the card. His decisive action left Tianchen completely dumbfounded. The saleswoman could only force a polite smile, judging internally. Him again. The girl with him last time was already gorgeous, yet less than a month later, he swapped her for an even prettier one. Tianchen happily carried the bags of clothes, marveling inside. My God, spending over 300,000 yuan on clothes on the very first date. He really throws money around like it's dirt. She blushed watching his broad back, her mind a tangled mess. Is he going to take me to a hotel later? If that happens, what should I do? At the same time, in a nearby gym, the gym-goers were screaming in pure terror at the horrific appearance of a shadow monster. With the sharp intuition of a superhuman, Chen Chu instantly realized something was wrong. He turned around and told her, I have an urgent matter to handle right now. Let me drop you back off at school first. Hearing that, Tianchen felt a flash of disappointment. Does he really not have any ulterior motives towards me? She quickly reassured herself. No, maybe he just wants to take things slow, or maybe I'm just overthinking it. Chen Chu frowned, his cold eyes observing the surroundings. It feels like a spatial rift is appearing around here, truly bizarre. A moment later at the gym, he stood outside observing the scene and immediately discovered the truth. Chen Chu pondered as he assessed the situation. This is clearly the real world, yet the aura of polluted energy is starting to appear. In a dark alley, he stood tall, blocking the path of a dark shadow. It sneered, I didn't expect you to find me so soon. It revealed its hideous monster form and charged at him furiously. In that case, please go to hell. With just one decisive strike, the monster's upper half was kicked to pieces. The system displayed a notification. You have slain a low-level polluted monster, gained 5 attribute points. He mentally evaluated his opponent's strength. As expected, it's just standard pollution, not fully demonized yet, exactly like Yin Zio from before. At the scene, the scattered monster remains were outlined with white chalk by the police for investigation. Guanda stood in the middle of the scene, arms crossed, telling his team, I originally planned to use this polluted monster to test the results of your half-month of grueling training, but someone beat us to it. Looks like this person possesses a fire-type superpower. He couldn't help but wonder in surprise. Since when did N City get someone with such a powerful fire ability? Meanwhile, Chen Chu was sitting and watching the news on TV. The male anchor had a grave expression. Today, hundreds of thousands of spatial rifts appeared simultaneously across the globe. We regret to inform you, the apocalypse has officially descended. He frowned in thought. So the apocalypse actually began in '99. Over the past 20-plus years, the death toll on apocalyptic battlefields nationwide has reached 500,000. Chen Chu took out his phone to research, his heart heavy. These 20 years of peace were bought with the blood of soldiers. Now, humanity has entered the era of universal evolution. Everyone has a chance to become a superhuman. He stared at his phone screen. These are just brief, publicly available details, not comprehensive at all. If I want to know everything about the apocalypse, I'll have to go register at the Special Bureau. In another dimension, a terrifying battle to the death was raging between a giant sea whale and Godzilla. Chen Chu and the telepathic link state assessed. It can predict attacks and can even turn seawater into heavy water. He charged wildly, but even all of that is useless against me. In an instant, he roared, blasting a scorching laser beam straight into the ferocious sea whale's head. He calculated internally. If I devour this giant whale, I'll gain at least another 10,000 evolution points. At the Special Bureau branch, the members were all gathered, minding their own business. Old Lee marveled. The guy who killed the polluted monster yesterday was seriously impressive, way stronger than us. Chun Cheng, who was lying down playing games, chimed in. Yeah, wielding fire magic that powerful, he's definitely a hidden awakened one among the populace. Ming Yu held her coffee cup, smiling softly as she thought. Could it be him? Given his performance that day, I'm afraid even now I couldn't pull that off. Suddenly, Guanda walked in, looking around the squad. Someone's coming in this afternoon to register as a new evolver. Do you guys want to go check it out? Everyone answered in unison. Yes. Through the two-way mirror, everyone intently watched Chen Chu on the other side, wearing a specialized suit to test his strength. Yu Ming stood next to his team, pointing and confirming. That's the guy who showed up at school in that supercar the other day. Ming Yu's face clearly showed her delight. It really is him. Guanda was also deep in thought. As expected, it really is him. He rested his hand on a heavy punching bag and explained. Registering as an evolver requires testing your actual capabilities, primarily strength and speed. Do you have any issues with that? Chen Chu answered simply, no problem. He continued introducing. This is a power meter, max display is 15,000 kg. Later, hit it with all your might. Chun Cheng asked Old Li curiously, what star level do you think his punching power will reach? Old Li pushed up his glasses. He took down a polluted one yesterday, so he's definitely stronger than us. He should hit at least a strong 2-star level. Yu Ming next to him was full of anticipation. He might even hit 4 stars. Chun Cheng immediately shot that down. Dream on. 4 stars requires 5,000 kg. It's not that easy to reach. Old Li crossed his arms. Looking at how confident he is, it's like he wants to smash the machine to pieces. Nan Feng behind them chuckled. Hilarious. Our captain is 5 stars and only hits 10,000 caddies. Suddenly, a massive boom erupted from his punch. The machine's screen numbers jumped wildly before stopping at 12,186 kg. In the back, someone yelled in terror. What? A literal 5-star, and a powerful 5-star evolver at that. Chen Chu, however, clicked his tongue in disappointment. I still haven't controlled my force well enough, accidentally overshot the target. Sigh. Guanda stood nearby with his arms crossed, formally announcing, you have reached the 5-star level. You will receive a 50,000 yuan subsidy from the Special Bureau every month. He added, if you agree to join the Special Bureau, your salary will be doubled and you will directly take the position of Deputy Chief of the N-City branch with the rank of Major. Are you interested? Chen Chu bluntly declined. No, I'm already used to living freely. He continued asking with a probing gaze. You're the one who killed the polluted one yesterday, aren't you? He answered simply. Yes. Guanda persistently tried to persuade him. You even awakened a fire-type ability, and your flame is incredibly powerful, not losing out to any awakened ones I've ever met. With this talent, if you join the Special Bureau, you might even be taken in as a disciple by the martial god generals. He paused slightly, his mind wavering. Martial god generals, humanity's peak. Chen Chu thought for a moment before deciding, forget it, the giant iguana is my biggest secret, and I already have my own path of development. Then he said, thank you for your kind intentions, Chief Guan. His phone buzzed, and a notification from the N-City Special Bureau popped up. Congratulations to the first evolver of N-City for successfully registering. Chen Chu, male, 21 years old, evolution level 5, superpower, blood red flame. Current civilian ranking, 1. Below were endless streams of admiring and praising comments. Boss Lee called, his voice full of excitement. Bro, you're the #1 ranked level 5 civilian evolver. Remember to look out for your little bro in the future. Chen Chu sat on the sofa and smiled. Is that so, Boss Lee? Ha. Putting down the phone, he breathed a sigh of relief and muttered. I've taken way too many calls today. Even old classmates I haven't seen in ages reached out to congratulate me. So this is what it feels like to be admired by the world. Recalling yesterday's events, after devouring the giant whale, the giant iguana had grown to 90 meters long. His constitution index increased by 1,800 points, and his punching force skyrocketed from 29 tons to 70 tons. Chen Chu rested his hands behind his head, his heart full of confidence. If covered by Wai Zhao, my current body could even withstand armor-piercing rounds. If calculated according to the Evolver scale, my full power must definitely reach level 7 or 8 by now.